What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. We've got a special guest today. So thanks for joining us. It's Danny.
Hey, I'm Rob, and this is, I'll go ahead and introduce him. This is Steve Exceen, former Marine, right?
Well, I'm always a Marine.
Oh, right.
Former
Well,
Marine.
I mean, you're going to correct that, so
Yeah,
let's
so
go ahead and
I'll be
ask
talking
you stuff
about
like
that.
that. So, yeah, we're going to talk about your time in the Corps.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for having me here, guys. First
Yeah,
of all, I'm
definitely.
excited.
Oh, no, we're excited to have
This
you.
is great. Yeah.
I think this is
absolutely.
great. We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah,
so,
about a year or so.
Yeah, you know what's funny is Steve is the only guy who's been begging to come do this, and like everybody else, we have to chase down. So this is like a pure pleasure for me
Super
that
great.
he wants to come in and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Let's do
definitely.
it.
Yeah, for somebody getting so excited about doing a podcast. And
Yeah.
like, oh, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
great. Yeah.
And he's like, hit me like, are we going to do this or not?
Yeah.
Well, because you
We're
reach
like,
out
oh,
to me,
hey.
it's like don't give me the candy.
Yeah,
You take it from
quit
me.
teasing
you know what I'm
me, get me on your podcast. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's pretty much how it was, and we're excited to have you on. So
Yeah, definitely.
all right. So where did this all start? What year did you make that step?
So my journey started, and I wasn't like one of those knew what kind of vision I wanted when I was growing up. This is just being truthful as I can. I had three paths. It was working at the mill, because I'm from Roseburg, Oregon, which Roseburg Forest Products. It was work at the mill, go to jail, or go in the military.
Oh wow.
So I was thinking, well, I really don't want to go to jail. So let's go ahead and throw that one out.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do like the family tradition of working at the mill. I just couldn't see myself doing that. See my
Our
dad.
neighbor right there.
Working in lumber fields not the best for me. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't have the drive for it. And so the military was my choice.
Yeah.
And so I was like, the Marine Corps, not gonna happen. Nope.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Right.
So I walked into the Army recruiter office, and I'm sitting there. I walk in because obviously I was gonna qualify because it's really you just do these little whatever.
breathe on glass.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's like a sucker fish.
Oh, your brush shows up.
And I'm sitting there because he knew that I grew up in a time. I know I'm only 44 next month, but I'm from a small town in Roseburg, Oregon. It's called 10 Mile, Oregon, and it's
I think I know where that is.
going 42 towards the coast.
Yeah, my brother lives in
Oh,
Sweet
nice.
Home.
Okay, yeah, it's right out there.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. I actually know where that is.
And
Wow,
so
wow.
it's this little hick town, and it was fight or flight back then. Like if it was one of those things, if you had an issue with someone, you fought.
Yeah.
It's you get beat up and you move on or whatnot. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Right.
And so he knew I was a little bit of a troublemaker, and so they tried to use that against me in the Army. Teacher tried to get me to go in, and like you're gonna get this. It's just the way he tried to recruit me.
Right.
I was like, do you think I'm dumb?
Oh,
And so I walked out of the office like, there's no way. And I walked over to the Navy. My brother was like, don't go. My uncle was in the Navy at the time. My brother was in the Navy at the time. My grandpa was in the Navy. He was in during the Korean War. And so I was like, let me just go the family tradition, right?
Yeah.
And my brother was like, you're going to chip paint all the time. That's all I did.
I think I did the same thing. Yeah.
And so
He
I'm
told
like,
me the same thing.
and the one thing that stood about the Marine Corps was he when he called me as Staff Sergeant Sanders, I believe he was a gunny Staff Sergeant. I know he got promoted. He was like, if you want to be a Marine, you just call me. Like he didn't like force himself like all these branches are doing. They're trying to sell themselves, right? It's like he goes, if you want to be a Marine, come and see me.
Yeah.
And I did smoke a lot of weed growing up. I'm not gonna deny it.
Who didn't though?
And
It's true.
I woke up one day and I got some money to pay some stupid speeding tickets off. I had to pay, and I called him up, and I'm like, if I can't go now, I'm not going to go at all. He was like,
Hey.
Monday I was gone. Went to MEPS.
Okay, so here's a question for you. What month was it?
That's the twist in it, right?
See, this is
So,
the important question. I was a
this is-
recruiter, so I know.
This is the twist. So 1997,
Okay.
March.
Wow.
Okay? So
March.
Uh,
Yep. F-man.
March. Well,
that's a one time you're demand to go something. You're going.
This is the twist. And this is what he told me. I don't know if it was true or not, right?
Mhm.
So I passed my ASFAB. I will tell you my MOS. You guys can laugh.
I can tell us that later.
And when he was picking my MOS, he's like, it's peacetime.
Right.
Do you want to fill sandbags? And then carry them over there, empty the sandbags, then walk back, fill the sandbags back up, and then walk around the base like you're just above everybody else like this tough guy. I'm like, not really. That doesn't even look fun. He goes, well, I'll find you an MOS. Well, we'll discuss my MOS. And so I go to MEPS.
That's a surprise.
I had knee surgery,
Mhm.
and so I had to get that all waived and stuff, and I go and I pass, and I go to we're doing my go away party,
Nice.
and he calls me. He's like, dude, I got bad news. I'm like, what? He's like, you can't leave until April. I was supposed to leave in March,
Oh.
and he goes, as of April 1st, 1997. He just said April 1st. Congress said you cannot pop on the piss test. Prior,
Right.
you could pop.
No, I remember this.
And if you even if you declare in boot camp I smoked weed
Right.
Yeah.
and you popped, it kick you out. He's like, I can't take that
Yeah.
chance. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even go to the rink for in the first place.
Right.
I was high when I joined. And I'm like, you want me to wait a month?
Right.
And I was like, listen,
Yeah.
my parents don't know I smoke weed.
Right.
I was like, what am I going to tell them?
Right.
You're going to tell them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to tell them.
Yeah.
And so we're at my going away
That's funny.
party.
Am I gonna sleep on your couch for the next
Yeah.
month?
I was like,
Right.
and I was like, what are we going to do for a month? Like, I'm going to think about this for a month about, I'm going to go in the Marine Corps. Like, the hardest branch,
Right.
13 weeks.
Yep.
I could do this in 8 if I go in the Army.
Yeah.
I was like, why not? And
Right,
so,
right.
and we ran a lot. And so it's so funny. He told my my parents that my MOS changed the dates, so we have to push it out a
Okay.
month.
That's a good one though. You
That's
pulled that
good,
off
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's
that's
good.
sometimes that's actually a true statement
Yeah,
depending
he
on the
did.
job. So
He
that's
did.
actually pretty good. That was
Yeah.
pretty smooth.
Yeah, and so I left April 28th, 1997,
Nice.
Jeez.
on those yellow footprints.
San Diego then.
Yeah, I'm a
Alright.
Hollywood Marine. Look how pretty I
West
am.
Coast. Yeah, that's what it is. Gave you some issue sunglasses on the way
I
out.
think I might have did I unplug
Oh,
this?
did you
No,
unplug
you're
it?
good.
No, good. I hit this little thing. Sorry. There we go. My bad.
Oh,
Okay.
That's all good.
I get a little excited sometimes, man.
Nah, it's good. Good. Especially
Like I
from
said, these
19, we're back
headphones
to
are cheap.
1997.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, these headphones are cheap. So
When did you join?
What's that? I was 94, but
Oh, so you're old.
98. Yeah, right? I want 3 years on you, man. But no, 98, I was actually went on recruiting duty.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually a year after you joined.
Okay.
I actually did. So you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yellow
All the
footprints,
waivers
man.
and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of waivers.
Yeah.
I was a recruiter nightmare.
Yeah. And
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sitting in boot camp like, do I declare? My recruiter said don't because you're clean. I was like, okay.
Well, you should. Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest. You know, I don't like to air this out, but man, when I was a recruiter and people were going, especially like you're not the only one.
Yeah, well, I know.
You know, but when I used to sit down and like, look, man, you go down there and you run your mouth about any of this, like anything you've done. You know, you change what you said at this point. I'm gonna hit you with my car.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I used to tell them that. I'm like, I'm gonna hit you with my car.
Yeah.
You know, so you better make it. You better make it worth your while. You're gonna go or don't go.
Yeah,
Let me
because
know.
I was sitting there, it was that time to declare
Oh.
all your bad stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm sweating. Like, do I say I did it? He told me not to, but they're telling me to.
Right.
And so I was like, I feel like they were playing like this devil's advocate against me. Like,
He's like the one sweating. Just
I'm sweating like,
obviously.
you know, and so
Oh, that's funny.
obviously I didn't say anything. You know, I was like,
Right.
don't even say you did it just as an experiment.
Right.
Just don't say anything. I was like, okay.
Right. And it happened that as long as you get in there with what you went
Yeah,
in. then
I
it
graduated,
should
so
Yeah, they
Yeah.
changed that after 9/11.
Oh yeah.
I got high in maps.
Oh yeah. Well, we know. There's a lot of changing of stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, when they were like, did anybody smoke weed? I might have still been a little.
like I'm high right now.
It's like I just smoked right before we came around the bus. I
Because
mean,
they wanted people. I don't care what
Yeah,
you did.
they
This,
didn't care.
I don't care.
We were at war with 2 different countries when I
Yeah.
joined.
Right.
When I joined the Marine Corps, so. they were
right.
Like, well,
Right. You just need to stop where you're in. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so you got my curiosity now, man. We need to know what you.
So I know West.
Well,
So-
you could have changed. I don't know where it was going.
Well,
But,
so boot camp. How was boot camp for you?
oh yeah, you can do that too.
I can tell you this. I've been asked this question a lot. Like because I go to the gym.
I'm sure.
I go to the gym a lot. That's like my release.
Right.
And I get these kids because I had this, my Marine Corps tattoo. You can see it. It's an old barracks tattoo, which we could talk about that.
Nice.
And they see, they know I'm Marine, and because you can tell a Marine at the gym.
Right.
You just can tell. And they always ask me these questions, and I tell them, I don't want you to know how boot camp was.
Find out for yourself.
Find out for yourself. I want you
Absolutely.
to experience, but I will tell you this: it's 90% mental and 10% physical.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
it's like my Marine Corps was, I was 130 pounds and so I was a little guy.
Heck yeah, I was
And,
too. So
you know,
yeah, join
but
that club.
But I'm also 5'11", and you're like
No,
4'2", so
Yeah,
it's a big
something
difference.
close. 5'6", 5'6", come on.
I mean,
5'7".
I mean, it's like it was a different experience because I was undisciplined,
Yeah.
and they they teach you how to eat. I mean, you can
Oh,
relate. I'm sure. I don't know how because you were in the Navy, so I don't know how.
No, he's a Marine.
Oh, he was.
So what?
And so,
Oh, this is all
Was
good.
it
This
a
is so good.
Department of the Navy.
Right. Well, he's the guy who made the food
oh, okay.
in the
Oh,
Marine
he's
Corps.
okay,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was a different experience because they were still boxed.
Yeah.
that was so good.
And so they stopped doing it because that one person got killed in boot camp, which was tragic.
Oh, that sucks.
I offended him, didn't I?
I'm a
What's
little
that? No, he's
offended.
fine. He's fine.
I'm a little offended.
Hey, he just
But
didn't.
he said on the
No.
ship, so you guys didn't tell me.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
on
you
the
never
ship.
actually.
Yeah, you said
but you never
ship.
specified to him. You were talking about ships.
Yeah, but
I was
when we first got here, we started. You introduced me as
No, you didn't.
As I was in the Marine Corps.
I introduced him.
Well, that was your dad.
My dad was in the Navy.
No. When you introduced me to your dad.
Yes, he's in
Yeah.
the Navy.
But
No,
yeah,
no.
you're talking your dad.
When you introduced me to your dad.
Right.
You said I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought
Yeah, yes.
you're not his dad. He's older than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, you both have gray beards.
We have a lot.
Well, no, my dad's probably a lot older.
That's
All
one
of
thing
us,
about
so.
if somebody asked me, ginger, I would want to be a ginger because this some bitches don't get gray hair.
No. Yeah,
Like-
it's this guy.
What's gray hair?
Exactly.
Right.
Like
Right.
I want a
He's
ginger
still in
beard.
his 30s, man.
I
He's-
know.
I still don't know.
You know, I'm in my. I'm
I pluck them out.
I
seen
know.
one-
I
I've seen one or
can't pluck
two.
him out because it's all gray.
You know, little patches.
So I lucked out. I'm starting to get gray hair,
Yeah.
but I'm already almost 46. So
That's good.
you know,
So boot camp.
yeah.
It was because I was 3051 kilo company.
There you know what you were.
And it was, I'll be honest, it was traumatic, man. It was I felt like I was getting thrown to the wolves, man. And I still remember this one guy, and I'll get into his story. It will end up tragic, just to kind of give you a forewarning.
That's good.
He was, because when I joined the Marine Corps, you can be a different military from a different country. He was
Right.
in the Russian Air Force.
Oh,
This
interesting.
dude was built like a brick shit house.
Wow.
I mean, this dude
Just
like,
rock solid wall, huh?
didn't even talk to you.
Oh wow.
Like he was scared. Like I'm not even joking. I mean, this dude's like 7'3". He's probably 6'2".
Right.
But he literally was like, "Where's the fat?" Like this dude was just like,
Right.
he was a high PFT, or this dude was just legit, right? But he didn't
Yeah.
really associate this dude. That will will always. I'll always remember him. And his story is tragic at the very end.
Oh man.
But I felt like Bowen in the Marine Corps, it was real. And his story will be a test to that, right? Sorry.
No, you can.
And you know, it was a bit different. We did have one guy get beat up.
Yeah.
And I
remember
felt-
doing that kind of stuff.
I
too,
felt
so
sorry for
You know
him.
guys too.
it's an old school thing.
Yeah.
I felt sorry because he was on top of me. I truly did, because he gets beat up and he gets dropped 4 weeks.
Mm,
And so when we're leaving, and we're coming back from Pendleton,
right.
because we have to go to the range, of course.
Was this
yeah.
a Full Metal Jacket type beat
Yeah,
up?
they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. See, that's
And-
just Full Metal Jacket is kind of
And they beat him up because he kept on making us. We were getting thrashed daily because of him. He made us set up a Walmart. If you don't know what that was, it literally was.
You'll find out.
It was terrible, right?
Yeah, I already know it's good. What's going on.
And it was the worst thing because you have your whiskey lock, I believe that's what it's called, and they made us take it out
That's a cleaning locker in
Yeah.
case anyone doesn't know.
and made us create like a Walmart, like
Like
aisles
shelves and
and
stuff?
shelves and put all this stuff up
Yeah.
like it's like you're walking into a Walmart. And I'm thinking this dude needs to get beat up, but I was like, I don't want him to get beat up. I didn't beat him up,
Right.
and it was actually the high shooter ended up being the high shooter. A couple guides, they beat the crap out of him.
Oh, wow.
And we had nobody get promoted except for the high PFT because he had nothing to do with it. So you got to think a unit where your guide didn't get promoted,
That's crazy.
your high shooter didn't get promoted. All those
Wow.
get meritoriously promoted. None of them had.
Because they're all involved in it, right?
They were all
Yeah.
involved. And so instead
See, what it is, man.
of NJPM and busting them, they just said you're not going to get promoted, right?
Right.
But it was really tragic that we're coming back from the rank, from the 4 weeks in Pendleton, and he's going, right? And he was with us, right? So
Right.
it was pretty tragic, you know. And to be truthful, you know, I felt bad for the guy, right? Because we're graduating. He's like, he'll end up being there for like 17 weeks.
Well, get this, Steve. This guy right here, man, you got to give him props because he actually had to go through boot camp twice. So yeah, and you can hear all that in the videos. But yeah,
That's crazy.
same idea. You know, drop guy
Yeah.
4 weeks and
Well, I spent 6 months in the hospital.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what happened to me. Is before he got dropped, is all of a sudden I started feeling this pain. What people don't realize when your body's not doing this, and then all of a sudden it's doing it.
Right.
And I'm 130 pounds,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I'm gaining all this weight at a mass speed. Like I gained almost 40 pounds in boot camp.
Yeah, same here.
And so you're eating all this food, you're eating healthy. I'm not saying I'm not used to eating healthy, so I rephrase that. I'm not used to eating as much, right? They were just
Well,
force
I'd
feeding
honestly
me.
say too, it's
Regular
the fact that no
Yeah.
one's used to eating in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
You're shoving all that food in 10
Yeah.
minutes or less, you're gonna
You're
get some
drinking a
weight.
canteen when you get done. It's
Yeah.
like about pissing yourself.
Yeah.
And so my body was used to it, so I was like, man, my feet are killing me. My shins are hurting, everything's hurting.
Yep.
So my DI, they sent me to medic. And I think I was about 4 or 5 weeks in, roughly about that time frame when we were doing the rappelling.
Yep.
So every week that is.
Yeah.
The
I
rappelling
can't
week.
remember at this point.
And
So
so
long ago.
they send me down to Balboa, which is the hospital in San Diego.
Right.
They stick an IV in me, and I felt great. You know why? Because I was like, I can just be me.
Just
Right.
relax for
Because there was no DI down there.
Right.
It was just me
Yep.
and some hot nurses. And I was like, I kind of like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, like this is where this is
And-
going, huh?
Yeah. And so ended up finding out I had stress fractures in both my feet.
Oh, that's
And the doctor down there put me in a boot.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever this means.
Yeah.
So I walk back up and I'm on guard post, right? I'm sitting, and the DI walks in and he's just lighting me up. All I remember him saying was, if this boot's on when I come back, I'm dropping you. I was like, what? F that. I took that sumbitch boot off and threw it away. So I finished boot camp. I wasn't a very good shooter because
Right.
so I barely passed the range. I'll be
Yeah.
truthful about that. I wasn't a very good range person. It wasn't my thing because I am not very flexible.
Mm.
And so getting in the Indian position,
Yeah.
the kneeling position,
Yep.
I already had knee surgery, so it's like I was just struggling with those
Yeah.
positions, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that was the worst for me was the being unflexible
Right.
or not flexible,
You go-
whatever.
Going through
Yeah.
some draws too while you're there.
A little bit, man. and so
I'm sure that was hitting you.
my DI comes back and I graduate. I did the crucible. I remember helping a guy up there. One of the things about boot camp is you got to take care of your feet.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing. I can't preach that to people is you need to take care of your feet. Well, one guy didn't,
Yeah.
and he was actually he paid for it.
Oh yeah.
And so we take his boot off. We're at the crucible, the 72-hour thing, right?
Mhm.
And we thought he got bit by a brown recluse.
Mm.
No, it was athlete's feet. It was so bad. It ate a hole in his foot
Oh.
like a cone. So imagine that big around, about that deep, but it was like a cone going down, right?
One of this dude was like wearing shower shoes in the shower, kind of thing,
Dude, it ate his feet,
Wow.
and he graduated, but it's still he had to get and so I did it was terrible, right? It was disgusting looking, right? And so I did all the stuff, and I graduated. Well, my DI goes, we can't send you to the fleet right now. I'm like, because you have to come back. I'm like, come back to boot camp? I'm already done. So I ended up going back to San Diego. I was a Marine, but I had to stay there for 30 days to see if my feet are going to heal up.
Right.
I'm like, well, this makes no damn sense. I was
Yeah.
going to sit here for 30 days, and basically I just jerked around for 30
Nice.
days. I was a Marine. I walked around. It was kind of cool because all these recruits were like, because I'm an actual.
Hey sir, they're like saying
Yeah,
before you
yeah,
dressed
I
again.
was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of like this.
Oh,
Like
that's
now
funny.
I know why people be DIs. And so I did that 30 days. Then I went to my school of infantry,
Mhm.
and it was fun. It was 14 days, whatever. It changed because they needed us to be in the fleet. Because
Right.
my MOS was supply.
Yeah, because it was 23 days, and then they went for a while. They
14.
did go down to 14.
Yeah, so I was supply. And so they actually cut my school down from, I think it was 90 days to 30. Because they needed us in Japan.
Mm.
And they
Right.
said, regardless, all you guys are going to Japan.
Oh man! So right off the bat.
Every one of us in MOS school, we didn't get,
Oh wow.
all of us went to Japan. One girl, because you got to come home for a week
Right.
and then go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not going home. It's 14 days. We got 14 days before going to Japan.
Yeah.
Right.
I took that 14 days, of course. It's free.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
don't take it all.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
And she was already in Japan. And so that's where I went. I was in Japan for a year.
Nice.
Nice. What base? Do you remember? Was it Foster?
Kinzer.
Kinzer. Okay.
So it's the one by the airport.
Oh yeah, you're right there. That's the airfield.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was nice down there, man. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
fun. We drank a
Kids are
lot.
as close as you were all the way down in Naha, pretty much.
Yeah, but you gotta think, man, back then I was 21.
Yeah.
You know, I turned 21 in Japan.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but this is the weirdest, because you've been in Japan, right?
I didn't get to see much.
Yeah, because you were drunk. You were going at the both ends.
Oh, I got food
Ate the wrong
poisoning.
food. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to see a tiny bit. He was in Japan.
I know that.
Yeah,
place
you were
like
like-
back of my
yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
they,
think I'm a local.
and he could probably, he contested this.
Right.
I'm not even joking. They had beer machines in
Oh,
the
yeah.
barracks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
In the
They're
barracks.
still
In the
there.
barracks?
They're still there.
Oh, wow.
They took them out when I was there.
Yeah. Now they're back again. They got
And so they literally
Well,
had.
okay, and they kind of removed them, and I guess they have soda now.
Did
but
they
yeah,
put-
it used to have. Yeah,
Did they take him out while you were there, or because you were there?
No, but after we were.
it was
Oh,
after
okay.
because yeah,
It happened because
not kidding though.
because there because technically you can drink in Japan off base,
Yeah.
Right.
underage, but on base you still got to be 21 because it's federal.
Yeah.
And so you got these young kids going down there and grabbing this beer and like, oh shit, it's in the soda machine,
Right.
and they're drinking it. And so
Yeah.
they changed that, but Japan was fun.
Japan's a good time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a great time. Loved it.
Best way to make Japan fun: date a local.
Oh yeah, well,
You can
yeah,
go to
yeah.
some bars.
Well, fortunately, I had a kid with my wife, so
I did.
at one point, so
Yeah.
Date a local, man, because
That'd
you
be
can
an
get
awkward conversation.
and
right? Like I could date her, babe.
Hey, dear.
That's the only way we're gonna get the experience here.
Babe, I got to get the local experience. I'm sorry. It's a military thing.
It is
Right,
because I'm white,
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah.
and white.
Yeah.
And so the only way to get into these clubs
Oh yeah.
is date a local.
Yeah.
Or you speak the language. I used to get people in clubs all the time.
Yeah, but you don't look white.
Right. Well, no, but I mean, I also speak. I also
Okay, I got
speak a
what
lot of
you're
Japanese. So
Just date a local, man.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah. But that's the easy way because then you can speak
Yeah.
English. But
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, I used to get people. People used to pay me to take me to that, get them in the.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't have to buy my own dinner. That kind of, so
That
it
sounds
was pretty
not
cool.
bad.
As long as you can speak a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So
You need just a little bit.
that's cool though. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the club, they were pretty off the chain out there too. I was actually, I guess, so pretty surprised.
Just you know, people say Fast and Furious because that's what it reminds me of.
Right.
The Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
It's real.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember right outside base, they used to drift.
Yep.
And we used to jump. We used to go out off base and watch them drift. And 2 Marines ended up getting taken out. They ended up passing away.
Right.
So they blocked us. We couldn't go off base and watch these drifters. But it's real.
Yeah.
Right.
Like these cars
Oh yeah.
that are people
It's
trying to
insane
get them
out there,
out.
man.
These
Yeah.
cars are dope. And every 30,000 miles, they'll just take the motor out. Is what they
Yeah.
told us. It could be true or not. They just replace them.
Well,
It's because
yeah.
of emissions.
Well, a lot of Americans try to bring those cars
Yeah,
back over
yeah,
here.
100%.
Skylines and things
Yeah.
of that sort. The ones
Yeah.
that, bring a stock Skyline back here. Because over there you can buy that for like $2,000. Running around with a Skyline. That they're playing in Need for Speed and all these
Yeah.
other games. So yeah,
It's fun stuff.
why not, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think I know 1 or 2 that have done it, but I don't know
Oh,
that
yeah.
many.
It's expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Because don't you have to get it converted to?
You have to windshield and a bunch of other stuff. It
Absolutely.
can get expensive.
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
I think the windshields in Japan are single plate.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
in the United States are double.
Yeah.
From what I was
Right.
told, I could be wrong, but no.
No, I'm not a huge car guy, so I'll just be like,
Yeah,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
They told us that.
I'm sure there's all kinds of
There's-
stuff like emissions and things
Yeah.
that all the kind of stuff that 'cause
Yeah.
obviously Japan has a complete different set of
Yeah.
Absolutely.
stuff going
Rules.
on.
Rules and regulations, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But the tragic thing in Japan, I think it'll be one of those things I still look at, your boot camp, I still have it, is the Russian guy got picked on. I mean, he was getting bullied.
I
when
can ask you about that, but okay.
when I'm going through and I went to boot camp with him, and obviously he was, a month ahead of me, almost 2 months ahead because I had to stay, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're in reception and they're talking about him, it's like
the other recruits? You talking about the
all of
staff
just the
or
unit.
So you guys went to the same, you had the same MOS?
He was different MOS than I was,
Oh.
but he was the same
He was the same
barracks.
unit.
Same unit.
Oh.
Right,
Same barracks.
Right. Oh, okay.
And so when they're talking about this Russian guy, like this Russian Air Force
They already
guy,
hit you. Yeah.
I'm just like, I went to boot camp with this dude.
Right.
Yeah.
And so of course, him and I talked and stuff, and when you get to be in Japan for 6 months, at least when I was in, you get to go home for 30 days. They
Right.
allow you to pay the $900, you fly home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, sure, I'll take free 30 days.
Right.
So I'm home.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Plus I want to party my 21st birthday.
Hell yeah.
Come back and I find I ended up taking his life.
Oh,
And
man.
so obviously they in the Marine Corps when you're active, it's not 2021. We're talking
Right.
97,
90s.
98,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so from what they're asking me, because he knew we talked.
Yeah, you guys talked
And
for sure.
from what they're telling me, and obviously it was just a long time ago if it was true or not, was that his family had some tragic accident where his wife and child ended up passing away
Oh no, man.
in
That
a car
sucks.
accident. Obviously, what they tell us, we don't know.
Sure, sure.
Right.
And
right.
so you could still go to the range on base. So what he did is he went to the range,
I have an idea.
put a Russian flag over it, and took his own life
Oh,
at the
man.
range. And so mental health is as real as it is back then. It is now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, but
Definitely.
Well, right
they
now it's real bad in active duty.
yeah.
So,
So they take it and they lift this rug up and they push it on there. Oh, they just counseled us because they knew we were in boot camp together. But it was more like, hey, you're good,
Right.
And that was probably one of the most like realest tragic event that's happened while I was into someone else.
Right.
That's
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
Especially being
Yeah.
that close. Like you were with this dude for.
Yeah, I still remember, man, and I'm sure you do. You guys, even you joined in the '50s. Is you still sit back and you think about certain stuff like some that triggers it. Does that make sense? Like
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
triggers boot camp, right? Like you're talking to a young Marine and you're like, he just gets out or she gets out,
Right.
and now you thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
They're telling about their experience. I'm like, it's way harder
Right.
Mhm.
when we were in, right?
Right. Well,
And-
it always is. Always is.
It always, even like I say, oh, it was hard '97.
Yeah.
It was also harder in the '80s,
Right.
in the
Yeah.
'70s. This is a
Right.
ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
But I could still act like I was tough, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I still to this day will always have like moments that I remember boot camp. That's like getting my ass handed to me because that's what they did back then,
Of course.
And that was boot camp in
Yeah.
Japan. Japan was fun.
That's pretty cool. So you got a year in Japan.
That was a year.
You do anything cool in Japan that you
say,
can
do
talk
anything
about?
else? Yeah.
I drank a lot.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the
Lots of
Marine Corps in
mojo?
general.
But when I was in, they can still bring locals in the barracks.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and
So
we
you
ended up.
ruined it for everybody.
Well, there was actually some dude in the army.
Yeah, I can tell you
In
a story
mainland.
too. but I gotta bring that
And
one
so there's an incident that happened in mainland Japan.
Yeah.
And they put us on Cinderella Liberty.
Yeah.
At the same time, Cinderella Liberty, you know what that is?
No, I know. I'm thinking about the date time frame.
So they put us on Cinderella Liberty, and from midnight to 5, you could not come on base or leave base. And so what we
Yeah.
would do, we'd be like, well, shoot, there's always a way around it. Is we would leave at 11, we would get just tanked, and then we'd take a cab, go down to Sin City,
Right.
and this is not even exaggerating, because to get on the front base of Kinzer, there's a corner, right?
Mhm.
So the front gates can't see you. So we would, about 30 minutes prior, we would sit there in the cab with the lights off and wait until it turned 5 o'clock. You can't they can't see you at 4:55.
Right.
At 5 o'clock,
Right.
all of our clocks are synced. We would say, okay, it's 5:01.
Right.
Turn the lights on, we go on base. They can't do anything. We're just absolutely just tanked,
Just live.
Yeah.
right? And what we do the night before is we put our shoes out and our clothes we're going to change into. So we're running upstairs, taking our clothes off
Yeah.
to go do PT. And we're standing in line like swaying.
Those are the
Oh.
worst, man. I remember those
Sweat.
days.
Yeah. I was a cook,
Okay.
so 04, 04:30.
Yeah.
You got to be to work, and there were nights where we would go out in San Diego, we would get on base, shower, change, right to work,
Yeah.
and it would be like by like 8 o'clock you're like, oh, my head,
Yeah.
like
8 in the morning.
yeah, 8 a.m.
Yeah, you're like,
So-
what?
And depending on who you were working with, you might go in the bathroom, have a little hair of the dog, and then
Yeah.
get back out there and be like, I feel great.
Yeah, it was.
Marine Corps is a different life.
I drink a lot.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
I ate a lot of
know.
food.
Back
Drank
in
a
the
lot.
'90s, for some reason, we did a lot of drinking.
A lot of drinking.
I ain't gonna lie about that, man. I did a lot of drinking in the '90s.
And-
chocolate milk
But yeah, you were like 4.
Yeah.
in the 90s. I mean,
Close.
close.
Japan was hot.
I'm about to say, oh yeah.
Japan,
Oh, yeah.
we didn't even wear camis
Oh
to
really?
work.
Oh,
We
wow.
used to wear just skivvy, or just our silkies and t-shirt and boots.
Yep.
And my barracks is right across from where we worked. They did it on purpose because it's so hot there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You would see people lining up in the morning to run across the squad, the squad bay to get to the warehouse.
Right.
You see these line of just idiots running across because it's so hot. You get back and you're just like, you're
Just
sweating.
drenched in sweat.
You're like, it's only like a couple blocks you ran, but it was so hot in Japan at times.
Oh yeah. And you always try to run right before sunrise because it was as soon as the sun kicked up.
Yeah, it was bad.
You're getting the humidity and that heat.
Mm.
Because it
But
was
it
still
was fun.
humid in the middle of the night, about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Japan was a
It
place,
was,
man.
it was an interesting, yeah. And, you know, and trust me, I haven't forgot about it. You know what? It's a great experience though.
Yeah, I think everybody should go to Japan once.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing. If people have asked me, I'll never want to change my past because I believe in the butterfly effect.
Mhm.
Right.
I believe if I change something, affect what I have now. And the thing I cherish now is my daughter. So
Right.
I would always be afraid, right? Would she not be here? So
Absolutely.
I'll never change my past.
Right. And you know what's funny is you think he's got character. His daughter's got a lot of weight. Really.
Yeah,
It's a
she's
character,
cool.
man.
She's good people.
She's awesome.
But if there was one thing I wish I could do more, is I wish I would have experienced Japan more.
Yeah.
I wish I would have experienced the culture, like he was saying earlier, is like going more north of all the bases.
Right.
Because you get the culture, and that's the same thing when I was in Hawaii. Is it's so Americanized that it feels like you're just in like an arcade game when you walk off base, because there's so many arcade places right off base, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And to get to Butler, it's 3 hours,
Yeah.
and it's like 2 miles
Yeah.
because the traffic is so bad there. I just wish I would have went more north and enjoyed that experience of like the
Oh, yeah.
culture.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah, and it's
know.
not very far either, which
No.
is crazy. You know, you just never know how close it
I
is.
always heard, before I joined, I always heard bad things about Japan. And I finished top of my class in my MLS school, so they were like, where do you want to go? And they were like, well, we've got space in Japan. And I was like, no thanks. I don't
No
want
thanks.
Japan. But now after like being in the Marine Corps and stuff, I kind of wish I would have went there instead of San Diego.
Yeah.
Because I was born in the Bay Area, in
Okay.
California.
Right.
So you know it already.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to be close to my family.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like an
Yeah,
hour.
and when
and
you're
stuff
young, that's
like-
how you think. You
Yeah,
know?
and
That's
then
not
when I
like
got
a-
there, I visited my family twice.
Right?
Yeah.
Like now that I'm older, I wish I would have went to Japan instead.
It was fun. It was a good time.
It's a great experience. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you had a good time too. You know, that's experiences may vary. You know,
Yeah.
some people hate it.
Oh,
And
bad
it's
times.
funny because
Bad
do
times.
you remember they used to have the 3 sayings? Like you're gonna come if you go to Japan or in Okinawa. This is specifically Okinawa, but you're gonna come out you're gonna either be a weightlifter, a Bible thumper, or what was the third one? Oh, an alcoholic. Alcohol.
I didn't say that
yes.
stuff when I was in.
No, that was the saying, and I've
that
known
back in
that
the
since I was
60s
in.
or-
What's that? It's something around there. I think maybe 70s.
Don't
So-
worry, I'll be here for a
This
while.
guy,
I'll
man.
catch up
He's all,
to you.
I'm only 2 years older than him. Right? Oh, that's
Boy.
crazy.
2
So,
years, huh? Oh.
hey, 2 years. Hey, 2 years is a difference, though. 2 years is a difference. So,
Big difference.
so 1 year in Japan, and
Yeah.
then so where'd you go from there?
So it was funny because we had a good relationship in Japan. I'll, if you don't mind, one more story about Japan.
Absolutely.
dude.
Definitely.
Absolutely, man. This is what this is
I
for.
love
There was this gunnery sergeant, big old black dude. I mean, can I say that?
Yeah, you
You
can.
say whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't use the other words.
Yeah, well,
that- yeah,
obviously won't.
Yeah.
This
This would be
dude
very nice.
literally couldn't roll his sleeves up. His arms are so big.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he would cut his sleeves here
Yeah.
and just slip them up once.
Sounds
Yeah.
like Colonel
And I-
Powers.
yeah, and I used to mess with him. Oh, because I'm stupid. Big old dude. This dude was big. They had to get, extend his waist
Yeah.
to get in a loop in there because he
Yep.
was so big. And I was always messing with him because I'm that guy.
Camis.
Always
Yeah.
messing with that guy. Always messing with him.
Mm.
And he goes, you know what, Exceen? I'll tell you something. You're probably faster than I am, but you're not smarter than me. And I was like, how do you know? He goes, let me tell you something. I know where you live. Like, go ahead and run
Some
from me.
straight serial killer
Yeah.
stuff going
He's
on
like,
here.
I'll just wait outside your barracks room. I was like, well, that'd be smart. I'm done messing with this guy because
Yeah, right?
he was probably 4 of me.
Yeah.
And he was just, I've met some of the most amazing individuals when I was in the Marine Corps. But because I was messing with him, so he was going to mess with me. And he
Right.
knew I did not want to be a grunt. I don't want to be nowhere around grunts. It wasn't my thing. I'm
Right.
supply.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, I just need to be supply.
Mhm.
I don't want to work hard, basically.
Take runs,
Just
because that-
let me drive the
Get on gear.
forklift and do gear.
Right.
That's it. Well, they were messing with me. They were saying, "Oh, we got your duty station," because they're giving their duty stations out, right?
Right, right.
And I'm like, "Where's mine?" He's like, "Oh, it's coming." I'm like, "Where's my duty station? Where am I gonna go?" And because at this point, we were forced to be in Japan. Now it's like they're just going to give us some cool duty. He's like, you're going 29 stumps. I'm like, what? That's a grunt unit. And I was like, they don't even do supply there. So I was like, why am I going to go there?
Well, they do supply there, but it's still a sucky place.
And he was, because he was messing with me. He knew my duty station was probably the best he's ever handed out.
Right.
And he was messing with me because he was like, how did this
funny, though.
How did this guy get this duty station?
Like, Steve wants to mess with me, huh?
And I was like, and I'm almost in tears. I'm not even joking. Like, I was like almost in tears because I don't want to be in a ground unit. I don't want to live in the field, man. Who does that and thinks it's fun?
Right.
No. And so for like a week, he was just yanking me all the time. And he knew it was messing with him. I didn't even joke.
Oh, man.
Same
for a
thing.
week? Damn.
And so I was like,
brutal.
just give me my damn duty station, right?
Yeah.
And he showed me. I ended up getting School of Infantry
Oh, that's actually a great one.
as a permanent personnel.
Oh,
so
you
know where you went to School of Infantry.
You got the gear out, yep.
And I was there. And I was 3043.
Nice.
And so I was a warehouseman.
Yep.
And
I know exactly where you were at.
and so it was and it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, they're looking at all these other people's duty stations. I'm like, how did this jackwad get this? Like, he's not even that good of a Marine.
Right.
Like, how did he get this duty station, right?
Right.
We got these guys are stellar, and they're going to like crappy places. This dude gets School of Infantry, which if you know what that is, it's legit. Like, you are like, yeah, see.
I was there in 05.
And so I was there, and it was the coolest. It was like the coolest duty station. So I show up. Captain was really low. He was really low key, and so I'm stuck in the warehouse, and it's hot in California. Cause
Hey, you're right next to Horno.
yeah, and that's where the story with Horno and their little grunts and their little hard asses over there. And so I was in the warehouse for a few months, but they were short staffed in 3051, and I was like, and my captain liked me for some reason, so I moved up to I was a 3043/3051. So I moved from the warehouse and actually went to be a 3051.
Nice.
And my billet I was in was supposed to be a corporal, and I was lance corporal, but I just couldn't get promoted. Like, I would try. I was a high PFTer. You know, I still in 1906.
Right.
Wasn't very strong, so I could do 15 pull-ups.
Yeah.
Knocked my crunches out, so I was like a 280, 290 or something like that.
Yeah, that's when they switched it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they switched it. They switched her from. So back in like early '90s, I want to say like 95, 96, they were letting you kip.
Yeah,
And
we
like
can kip when I was
97,
in
I
too.
think is when. Oh, is it? Well, I think
Well,
97, 98 is when they cut rid of it.
Yeah,
And
because
they really boned over like small guys like us.
Must
Yeah,
be
it's like
nice.
dead
Yeah,
hand.
because you could kip when I was in.
Oh, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah,
I
it
ain't
must be
complaining.
nice.
I'm not complaining, but they
It
switched
changed.
it.
It was funny.
It's a pain in the
In
ass.
MEPS,
It hurt everybody.
you could kip,
Yes.
but went to boot camp, you couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got guys that were doing like 500 pull-ups because they were
Right.
just throwing their like a fishtail.
Yeah.
Went to boot camp, they could do 3.
Yes.
And so it's like,
Well, that they're making sure you're breaking the plane.
yeah,
and
it
doing
was
all
like
that
making
stuff,
sure
the
your
rules.
arms are all the way down.
Yeah, all the way extended.
Crazy.
All kinds of craziness, man.
I had long arms.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
tough. I do
It was
too.
rough.
Oh yeah.
That's when people like, do you bench? No, I can almost touch my knees. No, I'm not gonna go bench because you guys have little short snubs and you can do 500 pounds.
Right. They got like it's like this for an arm.
Like, that's an arm. I'm like,
Yeah, like that for an arm. Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
this part right here.
dude, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 5'11" and a half, but on my dating sites I'm 6 feet. Just so you guys know.
All right. There you go. There you go. Well, you know, hey.
We'll plug the Tinder and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm 6 feet on Tinder.
Right, all the dating apps are gonna come up at the end.
And so I just loved California. I mean, I was, I never will toot my own horn. That is not what I do.
Right.
I work my butt off.
Oh, it's a good unit though, but yeah, you do work.
Yeah, we did some good stuff when I
You know how many classes? So one SOI class, I had like 300 people in it. So he's issuing people the
gear.
gear.
I didn't do the gear though. I got lucky.
But either way, I mean, you're still doing a lot.
Because I wasn't a corporal, I couldn't get the NAM.
Right.
It
Oh.
has to be a corporal.
Don't you hate that crap?
Yeah.
That's
So I got
bad that they
all
did
these
that.
all these letter of appreciations. I got all this stuff when I was in, and I'm trying to get promoted. My own Westwood jump. I'm at 1645. I go to 1740. I'm like, God,
Right.
how am I gonna do this? dude?
All those
Absolutely.
FCIs are done.
Yeah.
That's,
And I'm like, how? I'm not doing nothing wrong. Why am I getting punished? Because my MOS is flooded. Because it was so short staffed, they flooded our MOS. Now y'all punishing me.
Right.
I'm like, I did nothing wrong. And I'm
Right.
young, 21, 22 years old, and trying to figure out, I want to be in the Marine Corps for the rest of my life.
Right.
But he was like, I was like, okay, Gunny, let me go on recruiter assistance.
Yeah, try to get yourself promoted.
I was like, that
Yeah,
gets me
yeah,
100
that's
points, and I can get promoted. Because if I just throw a couple people in from my hometown, they'll see me, they're like, oh, this dude was not a very good person, now he's a good person.
Right.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, just general, it's dude, I used to, if you could do recruiter assistance, I would yank people up, because I was in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
so
I jumped on the
absolutely.
opportunity. My Gunny called the recruiter, and they let me go to recruiter assistance.
Nice.
Because it was kind of that dead time in that April
Yeah.
time frame. Because I left April 1st, around that time frame.
Right.
So I drive home. No, did I drive?
Did you give
I
it
flew.
to you in conjunction with leave, or they just put you on
Put me on recruiter assistance.
Okay,
30 days.
Because now they had it to where you can,
Yeah.
like later on, I guess they started doing it, you can actually take leave and do 14 days of recruiter assistance in front of it, and it's not
okay.
charged.
Yeah,
to
no,
your
mine
thing.
was.
So you got actually.
They didn't take leave against me. It was a straight 30 days recruiter assistance.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And so that's where my life had changed.
Right. Right.
It's because of recruiter assistance. I don't talk about it very often. Just because it's one of those things.
This is a safe space, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things
You're
that
Kinda.
Kinda.
I don't really discuss with like a lot of people what happened, just because it still affects me 21, 22 years later. Well, 1999, so it'll be 22 years coming up, right?
Right.
And yeah, it was the situation was different, and it was different because it really opened my eyes with, is there a higher power?
Mhm.
Is there a God?
Right.
Does stuff happen for a reason?
Right.
And I believe this because of my story. And
Yeah.
I drank every night, partied every night, slept, because where my parents lived, they had this. My nephew had his own room because he was 4 months old,
Right.
and so I would just they'd had I'll sleep on the floor where I came with a little bed, and then a little single bed. I slept in that room,
Right.
and so every night I'd come home, I'd just be drunk because I partied. I was in the Marine Corps, man.
Yeah,
I was
wow.
recruiter
Yeah,
assistant.
why not?
Young kid.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And so April 27th, it was the only day I didn't get drunk, and it was the only day I didn't sleep in his room. And so this is why I believe life happens.
There's something in there.
There's a reason, and I woke up to my mom screaming, "Get the baby!" And so
Oh,
I'm still thinking I'm dreaming, right? And there's still aspects of what happened to my family that I still don't remember, and I still beat myself up for it. It's like it will always be something that you can never get rid of your past.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it, cope with it. I don't
Yeah,
care
right.
what anybody says.
Oh, absolutely.
Any doctor says you cannot get rid of your past. You can
Right.
you can try to find ways to deal with it and cope with it, and figure how to go about your life with what is going on in your head, if that makes sense.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Because we did you did another video on PTSD,
Yeah.
suicide stuff, and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. Because it's not always combat related and
No,
things of the sort.
no.
So, and what it sounds like, I'm not trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm like intent on listening to you.
Yeah, and
But, you know.
and so and I was in my skivvies, right? Because that's what we did. I'm from Oregon, man, white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my dad, they sleep in the buff back then.
Mhm.
That's just what they do.
Right.
Country folk,
Yeah.
And I remember my mom screaming, and then my dad running down the hallways on fire. And so, instantly, like, my natural reaction was, I gotta put my dad out. So I put him out. I'm 170. He like 290. He's a big dude. Big old cornbread, he's a big dude, 40 years old, my age now.
Right.
And how did I get this man from my parents' house to my neighbors that I still don't remember? I still don't.
Adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
That's some serious adrenaline.
And I remember I remember the part, when we were at the neighbors, and I'm banging on the door. And they're probably in their 70s, 80s at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember them coming out. We're talking 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And they put him over a blanket. And so I'm like, okay, I have to get my nephew. He's still in the damn house. My dad couldn't get him out. So I go back in the house, because they live on this hill, right? Their house, and there's one top here. My parents, the neighbors, is like on a hill, narrow road. And so I remember going back in the house, and I was probably a few feet from my nephew's room. And backdraft a movie is what came in my head
Oof.
to this day. Fire's alive.
Right. Oh yeah.
Nobody can change my mind. I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally was
it
like
is alive. It is alive.
it literally was like rolling on top, and it was so hot I couldn't even get to. I felt like my skin was melting, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
my feet were already burnt
So
because
let me make sure I understand. So the building's on fire.
yeah, my parents'
Okay,
house.
because I used to be a firefighter back in the day. So when you're saying all this, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And
Parents' house.
so just so you know, for people to understand what he's talking about, he's standing up in a building that's on fire. In a building at waist level, you're talking, it's 500 degrees.
Yeah, I'm low crawling, right?
So
'Cause-
think about it, it's like an oven at 500 degrees, anything above the waist level.
yeah,
That's why he's probably feeling like his face is melting.
Yeah,
so
like everything.
realistically, yes, he's absolutely 100%.
and so I couldn't even get to the room because it was just too hot. My mission was I have to get my sister, my mom, and her boyfriend out. My mom is most important. I gotta get her out of the house. Make sure she's out. Make sure my sister, her boyfriend are out of the house. So they were out.
Right.
So there's certain aspects of it that will always beat me up for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
I'm able to deal with it, but I still can't remember a lot of stuff. I just remember going up at the back of the house, trying to put this fire out of the garden hose, which is not going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
They just put in these two
Right.
plain windows, so I'm not going to just break in the windows, right? So I felt defeated, and I gave up, right? There's no way I can get in. So I told my mom, "There's no way it's going to end up exploding or something."
Mhm.
So their driveway, the firefighter trucks couldn't get up the truck. So the firefighters at the bottom,
Mm.
and so they had to hook up down there and run the hose up to the top of the
that's what
mountain,
normally
basically.
happens,
And my car's like, the house is here, roughly, and my car's here, and they're trying to put the fire out in front of the house. I said, I said, my nephew's still in the house.
Mhm.
They're like, no, he's not. I said, yes, he's in the back of the house. Nobody knew there was a 4-month-old in the house.
Oh.
And so my mom and my sister were away from the house, and I guided the firefighters to the back of the house to where my nephew's room was at. And that will probably be something that will live with me for the rest of my life and I think in this incident, I'm always grateful for whatever, have my family still safe.
Mhm.
But when I saw them pull my nephew out of the house,
Right.
I was one of the only ones that saw it, and it's like, it messes with me, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
And it changed who I am as a person back then.
Right.
I was never an angry person. I was a fighter, but I wasn't really like a fighter. I'm gonna go beat everybody up. We just fought.
Yeah.
I had an older brother, and so I used him as like, you're gonna beat me up, he's gonna beat you up. So I probably won all my fights because they were afraid of me, because my brother was a tough guy.
Yeah.
Right. But
And-
you said your nephew was how old?
4 months.
Okay, so I know it's not going to change this with
Yeah.
anything you've got, what we're talking about here, but like those statistics I gave you, and you're talking about a crib, probably, the kid was sleeping in a crib. With what you did, you had the right triage. The threat was imminent there. Now I'll tell you this, more than likely, your nephew was probably, and I don't want to be negative.
They already told me.
Yeah, he was already dead probably, and the only reason why I can say that is it was probably due to smoke inhalation.
And they
at
said
the level that he was at.
when they did the autopsy, that's what they told us.
Which
he
means
didn't
that he
feel any
probably
pain.
couldn't have done anything anyway. He probably died in his sleep. I mean,
that's what they told us. I know my dad was burnt from the neck down, and so.
But see, if you didn't do that one, then you'd have your nephew and your dad.
Yeah.
So I know it does suck.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to ease your mind any at all.
It's
you did what was right.
Yeah,
and
it's still
regardless of whether you can't save everybody. And I used to say it as a firefighter, used to say it as a Marine, used to say that as a cop. You can't save everybody.
Yeah.
But you did everything right in that scenario.
I did whatever my mind told me to do, if that makes sense. It's like I still don't recall a lot of the stuff.
Right.
And I do recall them pulling my nephew out. It really.
Hey, that's going to hurt you no matter what.
Yeah.
You're always going to have survivor's guilt. That's a type of PTSD that you'll have.
Yeah.
It's funny because I can't, regardless of what I give you that, firefighters said it, it's always still going to be there, and it's always going to mess with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
I feel you on that 100%.
And so we obviously went to the hospital. We were able to get the fire out, and they burnt the fire. The house was gone, right?
Yeah.
And so they flew the helicopter, my dad, from Roseburg to Portland Burn Center, right? Because like I said, he's burnt from the neck down. My dad's stubborn. He should have been there for like a year or something like that. He was in for a few months. He's like,
Nice. Nice.
But I got a phone call that morning from my captain because he heard about it like that. There's no social media in 1999.
No, not really. It was not permanent yet.
They had dial-up, man. Social media wasn't until like
Yeah.
08.
But they still had payphones. So
Yeah, you know, and so he calls and calls me and calls my recruiter, so I call him back, and he's like, dude, just stay and take care of your family and do that kind of stuff. We're going to put you in the reserve unit up there. And so, of course, I didn't, because I just wasn't in my mind. And so I didn't check in up there. I really checked in, but I just really wasn't there. I wasn't mentally in the right state of mind. So they knew.
Yeah, pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, they knew something was wrong, so they made me come back. So I go back down to Pendleton, and of course they signed some stuff saying I was unreenlistable because of the situation. Now it's going to take Congress to make me be able to re-enlist.
Yeah.
And they sent. This is why I'm glad when we'll speak further about who are, for what my future plans are, what's going on next month. But they really didn't take mental health seriously.
Absolutely.
And
it's developed more, and it's still to this day, it's not 100% perfect.
Yeah.
No.
But back in the 90s, though, it was. Yeah. He's right. It was. Dude, it was all kinds of people killing themselves.
Yeah,
it was rough, and it was kind of like one of those. More people had the attitude of, oh, you're just trying to get attention type thing.
Yeah.
That's how it was back in the 90s. And and nowadays it's like, no, you don't do that anymore, regardless. You still you got to do. So back then it was a totally different world in the way they looked at things. Thank God they got better about it, man. But but it's still we do, and you know what? We're gonna do this year. We will do another suicide talk, and we definitely want to have you on this one too, man.
It changed because whenever I said I didn't do nothing wrong, why am I getting punished for doing what I thought was right? I mean, I can't change. And so they sent me out to the psych, and literally I'm not even exaggerating. Walked in, I was 22 years old, I think it was 22, 23. He was like, "I'm good." Okay, have a good day.
Yeah, that's how they are.
And it was like they didn't force me to go see a counselor like they should have.
Right.
Yeah.
I was not broke.
Right.
I was broken. I wasn't broke, if that makes sense. I was broken.
Yeah.
But you can fix it.
Right.
I was not broke.
Yeah.
And so I still remember I ended up getting promoted. They gave me the 100 points. They pinned corporal. My captain left, right, because he took another unit, right, because he thought I will never use the word hero. I think the definition it's lost a lot of its definition, especially in the time we're in right now. Everybody wants to throw it around. I never will use that terminology, but he put in for this award, and he goes, because of what you did. You're gonna get this.
Well, that's a heroic thing you did, man.
And so he put in for the Navy and Marine Corps medal.
Oh wow! Nice.
And so I was thinking, I didn't know what the heck this medal was. I didn't realize how high this medal was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
that's a really high medal.
I was able to re-enlist, and so I re-enlisted a year early. Because if you don't re-enlist now, your enlist could close, and then you're going to be whatever they want you to be.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of like being surprised. It's kind of low key, chill. Everybody's best friend,
Yeah.
Everybody needs change anyway.
Yeah, and so and so you got now. This is what is Mateo, right? The grunt unit. They were griping and moaning about why are
you're way up north.
They're like, why are you? What's right next to SOI then?
You're right.
Oh, Horno's right next to
Horno, that's right. Horno.
Okay. Oh, so you were First Marines?
Yeah, I wasn't with them. I was School of Infantry, but they were right. Horno,
yeah, Horno's just south of it, and then Mateo is 15 minutes.
So I'm at Horno. So they were arguing
all the same area.
And griping and moaning about why do we have grunts moving all these pogues around? And I think because you're a grunt, we're supply. And so they were able to make it so we had to leave our unit since I was senior. At that time, I was still Lance Corporal. I was about to get promoted. They pulled my sergeant, and they pulled me over to School of Infantry to move these Marines around.
Right.
And so it was really cool, right? So I was not in my unit anymore, so they moved me over. I reported to someone else, even though I was supply. I was actually I felt like I was a DI. I'll be truthful now. That was kind of cool, right? And so, because you walk a little chip on your shoulder, because you're permanent personnel.
Yeah.
Even though they're Marines, you're permanent personnel, and they had to treat you differently.
Right.
You'd walk in the store, they'd move out of your way. Where even if when I was supply, they would know he's permanent personnel. He goes first.
Yeah.
Like all the grunts would say he's permanent personnel. He goes first.
Yep.
It was cool. School of Infantry was really dope,
especially the PX.
The PX.
Yeah, you walk in the PX, get out of my way.
They just move out of your way. So I felt like a DI. I mean, you can't even compare the two, but it was kind of cool, right?
Right.
I felt like I was something special.
And they're all like, and it's like boot camp too. So they're all the students are like, oh my god,
Yeah,
they're jumping out of the way and stuff like that. Oh yeah,
I was 22 when I was in SOI, so when people try to pull that shit.
Yeah, I'm 22, but I'm not a kid.
Yeah, I'm not a child. Like,
yeah.
Your little games don't work.
So while I was there, I got promoted, but my unit pinned me, got corporal, and my life changed. Like I was angry all the time, right? Like but I wasn't that way before. I mean, we're talking, you know, I got promoted, which is everybody gets promoted, but I would know nothing, no bad paperwork, no nothing. Like all these letter appreciations, like this guy's gonna be something, right? Because I was for the people, like. Because I'm going to school now, so it kind of reminded me, I was more of like in that time frame, more of like a servant leader. Like I wanted to make sure you were happy, regardless of me, right? When I was in, I want to make sure, even though you're a lieutenant, I want to make sure you're happy. They don't have to, because you're not even my lieutenant, you're somebody else.
Right.
I got my lieutenant I report to, but I want to make sure you're happy. So I had letters of appreciation from my captains, lieutenant colonels, like all these, because they couldn't give me a NAM, that was the next best thing.
Man,
at the time.
Well, back up real quick. Just let me ask you. So, did you end up getting the Navy Marine Corps medal?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay, you kind of like alluded to that. I was like, did get this.
So he's like, you
little tease.
Yeah,
he's
teasing
candy.
Yeah, he's like.
And so, I had an incident in the chow hall. You got to think, I was perm personnel, and you had these Marines that were getting kicked out. We still had Quonset huts. I still lived in those Quonset huts down there.
Oh, I remember those Quonset huts.
But they tore them down because they built the barracks, right? But there were still like 4 of them, and that's where they sent all those bad Marines that were getting kicked out. They lived down there. They didn't care about them.
You know what they put in after that? The Guard Marines.
Oh, okay.
So after they moved all those people out, because eventually I think I was short term, and then eventually they put all the Guard Marines, and the Guard now actually lived down there. So it is what it is.
But these Quonset huts were there. They were condemned since I don't even know when, since the beginning of time. But they tore them all down after we were there, right? I didn't live in the barracks. During School of Infantry, I was in Quonset huts. I got photos of that too. But they still kept like 4 of them. All the bad Marines.
4 ones are still there.
Oh, they are. And so
they're still condemned too.
Yeah, they're still condemned.
Well, I mean, they're using them for guard now.
Yeah, and they're all the bad Marines. The ones that are getting kicked out. They just graduated boot camp. They're still Marines.
Right.
But they're getting booted for doing something. So I remember walking through the chow hall, and this is one dude he loved to push my buttons. And I was just minding my own business, because when you're in the chow hall, you have a permanent personnel side, and you have the School of Infantry side. So obviously I ate the permanent personnel, good food down there too. And he ran his mouth in the chow hall.
Oh, man.
And I lost it. Like, you gotta think, no anger to like a total different person from after the incident I had with my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm throwing these tables across the chow hall just to get to them.
You know, now the funny part is nowadays people would have known that you had PTSD.
And I literally was. You're talking like I'm 170.
It's all signs right there, you know.
I'm fast.
Yeah.
I'm agile back then, and I'm throwing these tables around to get to this dude, right?
Oh man.
And they knew that was not going to be pretty.
He went hold on.
My anger was just a different level. Well, luckily there was a sergeant right there that knows me, and he grabs me and says, "Okay." Well, instead of taking care of me, they shit me off.
Oh man!
Instead of like knowing that there's something, this dude is. She even said that, because lieutenant who replaced my captain, she was like, he's gonna end up getting in a lot of trouble. So they should have said, he's gonna end up doing some stupid stuff. Let's take care of him.
Right.
But no, I re-enlisted. My choice of duty was Hawaii. And so I went to Hawaii.
Oh, nice. That's not bad though.
Hawaii I would never recommend it.
Yeah, they didn't want a bad mark.
But you weren't married though.
Yeah, they didn't want to bust me, and they knew that I shouldn't have done that, but they knew the situation. But they didn't really know, and that's why I can say they really didn't know what post-traumatic stress was back then.
Yeah.
And I will never you'll never see me and you can still use it if you want, but I never say post-traumatic stress. I don't say PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a disorder. This is my opinion.
Right.
I don't think it's a disease.
Yeah.
There's an
Well,
incident
it's not,
happening
I don't
in
think
my
it's
life,
disease either, but
and I don't think it's a disorder.
Mhm.
I think it's post-traumatic stress, and that's just how I believe.
Right.
To be called a disorder
right.
is different. There's something happened in my life that caused this incident, right?
Right.
And so you'll never see me say disorder. That's
Like
just
the
how
only
I
reason why I call it a disorder, I agree with everything you're saying there.
Yeah.
The only reason why I call it a disorder is because it never goes away.
It never goes. I don't disagree with you.
Because I still have all my
Yeah.
stuff. It's never going away.
I never
It's
disagree
just the
with
way
you.
it is.
It's verbiage to me. Like
Yeah.
Right.
when somebody gets out of the Marine Corps and I ask them, "Hey, are you service connected?" Why not? I don't say
Right.
how you get your disability numbers, because that throws people off,
Right.
and they say, "I'm not disabled."
Right.
And
Well,
so
it's
and that's
I think
just
it's, I think it's lingo, and
Yeah.
it's just the fact that they haven't. I mean, we're still dealing with it now. Like they haven't classified it
Yeah.
enough to.
They don't even know how it is.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they're just like, this is what we call it, because it used to be
Yeah.
shell shock. You know,
and
so
they
it's like-
actually
They got out
Yeah.
so many terms
Yeah.
for it. Every
Yeah.
war has had a different term for it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like
So-
they haven't quite pinned it down.
yeah,
So
it's
it's
what
like,
it is.
and I feel like in the next 10 years it'll be something else.
They
Yeah.
they've
And
already
then
started calling it something else.
20
I can't
years from now
remember
it'll be
what
something else.
Yep.
And then until they can actually, because there's no science on how to figure out what happened. You know, like we don't have that technology yet. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, supposedly there's some kind of, and this is getting off track. I don't want to do this too long, but supposedly they're experimenting with electromagnetic
Yeah, I've seen
pulses,
that stuff.
and supposedly it's helping. But
They
I
did
don't want
that.
to go into this right now because it's not. We're not doing a PTSD. We're
Yeah.
talking about Steve stuff.
I did that one
So-
in 2009.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's
Doesn't
why,
help.
That's why.
Yeah,
you
because you know,
right?
you got guys that your combat versus your non-combat
Right.
post-traumatic stress. It's two different
Yeah.
monsters, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I can't relate to what they've been through,
Mhm.
but I can promise you this: they can't relate to what I've been through.
Right. Right. Well, it's just like,
And
and,
so-
we've talked about this, which is really cool. That did you say that? Because I agree totally 100%. It's like people who've been sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
That's PTSD,
100%.
but I can't relate to them because I've
Yeah.
never been sexually assaulted.
And that's why
Same
you can't,
idea with your scenario. I mean, I've never had to be in that scenario, so no one can really kind of relate to you to that.
No, it
You
was
know,
it was
so-
it was tough, and they didn't even tell anybody when I
You
went to
had
Hawaii.
issues? Oh.
Yeah. And so I go in that, and you gotta think this is my third duty station.
Yeah.
Right.
Hawaii, majority of the people there, it's their first duty station.
What year is this? Did you go to Hawaii? Do you remember?
I went there 99 to 02.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm in my third duty station. I've only been in the Marine Corps for like 2 years. This is my third duty station, right?
Right.
And so they're thinking this guy knows everything. I don't know shit.
Right.
No, I think it was, I can't remember the time frame. I got out in 02 November, right? So I was there
Oh,
for
wow. You know, you were
2000.
there. You know what? We crossed paths.
Yeah. So I got there. Technically, it was like 2000. I got there in December, but because the fire happened in
You know
99.
what? We probably crossed. You were supply, right?
Yeah.
Were you on K-Bay?
Yeah.
That's dude.
First radio battalion.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say we probably crossed paths. I showed up in Hawaii right after recruiting duty
Okay.
in 2002. June.
Okay.
June of 2002.
Yeah, so I was still there. Yeah. So I got out in 02.
Just look at this crap, man.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Cross paths,
We
man.
crossed
And
paths.
so when I was there, Hawaii was, I'll tell you, man, it was dope.
Oh yeah, Hawaii's
But I was
fun.
messed up. I wasn't the same person.
Yeah.
I had some anger issues. And so they find out I'm getting this award because it's an act of Congress
Yeah.
to get this award. Well, people
Yeah,
don't.
that's a tough one to get.
And I don't like I said, before me, the last person that got it was JFK, right? So it's a very high medal. I mean,
Mhm.
people don't realize it's 2 above their Purple Heart if you rank medals, right?
So to give kind of people, because we never really talked about it, but if you talk about the Navy Marine Corps, Navy Marine Corps medal is the highest medal that you can receive during peacetime.
Yeah.
So and to put that in retrospect, that's
Yeah.
why when he's talking about the Purple Heart is a combat award.
Yeah.
It's basically like the ones the president gives out,
Yeah.
to civilians,
Yeah.
which is very equivalent. It's just you're doing something, you have to do something pretty heroic or save a life, things of the
Yeah.
sort. That's what you get the Navy Marine Corps medal for. So I just want to put that in retrospect for the audience out there
Yeah.
so they understand that. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And so they found out I was getting this medal. And so at the same time frame was Pearl Harbor was going on. They filmed the movie,
Mhm.
so it came out in 01. It was May of
I
01.
remember all that too.
I saw that in theater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was in
yeah.
high school.
yeah.
Yeah, we watched them out there doing
Yeah.
this.
And so
Weren't you at Pearl Harbor? Weren't you in the Marine Corps around all the time?
You know what? I would give you a finger, but I think my phone might fall on the floor.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool because they were like talking about this is before they found I was actually going to get the award because you're talking. This takes Congress to get involved to make sure this is legit, right? You just can't give a medal to anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're like, "Hey, Steve, do you want or exceen? Do you want to go to the world premiere of Pearl Harbor?" They're asking people. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go sit in the stands and wave at all the famous people." Yes, I will. And this is about a month prior, so I'm already, because you get your dress blues and stuff, and you're sitting in stands. You know how it is, you wave all these famous people, red carpet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I got the award, and so my first sergeant, she was like, "Hey, you have two options. There's a one-star general who is going to come off out of vacation because he's in Hawaii. He wants to give it to you. He heard about you getting this award,
Right.
but it's going to be at Pearl Harbor with all like generals and all these high enlisted,
Wow.
Right.
just like big dogs, right?
Right.
In Pearl
Yeah.
Harbor, or you can have your whole unit here, and the colonel can give it to you." And I was like, and I knew what she was doing. She wanted the shadow. She wanted that,
Yeah, she wanted to rub elbows
Right.
with the
big dogs.
Oh yeah,
right?
big dog.
And
So
you
she
know,
wanted to
it's
boost her career.
exactly. I knew what she wanted. I'm not stupid.
I want it from the chow hall.
Yeah.
I
So
wanna flip a table over.
if you've been like you've been to Hawaii, so you know right.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Dunkin' Donuts is right there. So that big old parade deck where it's all grass,
Right.
and then you walk across, it's the
Yep.
bigger PX, right? So that was all full of Marines from all the units.
Oh yeah.
So they brought in
Right in
how
the
many
middle
people?
of the
It was.
Wait, the most important question. The question is, what she look like?
My first sergeant.
Yeah, the one who wanted to take you. Because I mean, if she's gonna be with you, I mean, like.
So the first sergeant, she represented the Marine Corps in the Muscle Fitness magazine.
I mean, I know where I would have went. At
I-
that point in time,
I wish I like I said, you can't change anything. I wish I went to Pearl Harbor and got with the big dogs, but
Right.
I ended up doing it at my unit, right?
Yeah.
And so I get this award, they present it to me, and all these people are in the news articles, they're shaking my hands and stuff,
Right.
and keep on tapping that, sorry.
No, yeah, you get
And because when we were in the Marine Corps, you party a lot. I still party a lot, still drink a lot, especially in Hawaii, right? Because you party. And I had my car at the time too,
right.
so I drove. And so when you were partying so much during your lunch break, you go back to the barracks, take a little nap. I did it. So I got this Lance Corporal banging on my door. Corporal exceen, there's this master gunnery sergeant on the phone. He wants you to call. I'm like, what did I do?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And so to find out, this master guns calls me. And he was like, hey, he acknowledged, gave me his empathy and stuff like that. And he goes, do you have your dress blues? I said, yes, sir. And he goes, are they pressed and clean? I said, yes, sir. He goes, how would you like to go to the world premiere of Pearl Harbor? I was like, Master Guns, I'm already going. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in the stands, waving at everybody.
Yeah.
And he was like, how would you like to be on the red carpet
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
cool.
wow.
where they're waving at you? I was like, you're messing with me. He's like,
Yeah.
no. He goes, the former Secretary of Defense has 4 tickets, and she's given them to each service member.
Yeah.
And she gave the ticket to a major. Well, he found out about your store, and he wants to give you his ticket.
Oh, that's cool.
But you have to go down there tomorrow.
That's
And
pretty
my
cool.
first sergeant's freaking out because, like, me
Yeah.
Right.
on the red carpet,
Right.
Yeah.
and she's like, "This is a good pat on the back for her."
And he
Right?
knows he drinks every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like, Corpex, and you have to go right now to Pearl Harbor to go get your ticket. So I got my pass, and your press pass, kind of like your VIP pass,
Yeah.
and I got to meet some cool people. I had
That's cool.
this itinerary.
Yep.
And so I ended up, it's like a handful of Marines. So we stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And all these Air Force, Navy guys. And so we were cheating going up and down the elevator. This Navy guy I met to get everybody's signature, right? Because I wanted to get all the famous people.
Sure.
And you're rubbing elbows with, Buckin, what's his name? Buckin, the director.
The Buckenheim?
I think that's his name.
Or Buckheimer?
But I think the director,
Yeah.
he's a short dude, right?
Yeah.
I'm standing right next to him. Who are you? He's like, I'm the director. I was like, oh, you're famous, son. Can you sign this? And so Courtney Love was there,
Oh, okay.
and she was faded. Like
That was one with Ben Affleck and all that too, right?
Ben Affleck was
Yeah,
there.
Ben Affleck was
But Courtney Love was there just because all these famous people show they always
Right,
gets
right.
invited. And she's
Yeah.
like, Dennis Rodman's coming too. I'm like, no way. I'm a Dennis Rodman fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
But he didn't make it because he got a little intoxicated out in town.
Yeah.
And
Good for him.
yeah, good for show. I was kind of bummed. So it's kind of cool. Like Faith Hill sung the national anthem,
Oh, nice.
and so they had like I think it was Disney who donated like $2.3 million for fireworks. You're on the
Wow.
USS Stennis on Pearl Harbor,
Right.
and you can see Pearl Harbor right there. It's right there. So that was the coolest experience. Is being able to. I met Ben Affleck. He's a dick. I would say it's because he
Write
was
that down.
drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm leaving because he was the only one I didn't get. I got all the famous people. Josh Hartnett. I didn't get Kate Beckinsale because she went around the other way.
I'll kill him later.
Yeah, she went around the other way to we couldn't see her because her career was blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
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 But we had Ben Affleck, so I'm walking out, leaving, and I'm not saying I wasn't intoxicated because all the alcohol was free.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Oh, I'm
living.
sure you're probably going to
No Marine's gonna say no to free.
Right.
Yeah, and it was like, and they
Just
literally,
alcohol in general.
Yeah.
they literally had it to where it was like 3 spots, so you would just walk.
Just back and forth.
And then back and forth. By the time you get next one, you're just drinking, right?
Yeah, I get it.
And
I gotta do that.
Yeah. And with Faith Hill,
Yeah.
how I got her autograph, so they have is blocked off all the famous people, right? And so she's walking out, I'm standing there, I went like this, I touched her shoulder, and she turned around and looked at me, my whole body just like,
Are you in your blues at this point?
yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Right.
what do I say to her? I was
Right.
like, can you sign this? She goes, yeah, I'll sign it for you. She signed Faith, and
Right.
it's real, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But when I was
Yeah.
leaving, I'm like, I would love to get Ben Affleck's autograph, because I like Ben Affleck.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that dude was drunk.
That's back when he was good, like,
Yeah.
better as part of his career.
But he was still a dick.
Yeah.
And he signed it, but I was like, I'm going to beat you up. Look, your manager was right here, bro.
Yeah.
I was drunk as shit. And so,
That's awesome.
yeah, so that was the
See, I
highlight.
never knew all this about Steve.
Yeah,
This is cool shit.
Little stuff
Right.
about me. And so my Marine Corps career just kind of went to, I got diagnosed with some stuff. So I got out medically.
Yeah.
It's just, I can always go back. You can never change your past. I wish I could, I'll use my experience to hopefully they realize you can't diagnose with someone with anti-personality disorder
Oh, yeah.
when you don't know what the hell it is. When I got out, they're like, no, this is
Right.
called post-traumatic stress.
Right.
Whatever happened to you, because with my family, and so I ended up getting out of the Marine Corps, and I can always, like I said, I wish I could go back, and I don't because of my daughter, but
Yeah.
hopefully someone can say, we need to fix this,
Yes.
Absolutely.
this stuff, right?
Right.
Because if we don't, you're going to have more people like me that didn't do nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
And I had
Yeah.
so
absolutely.
many people that I still always respect that tried to get me out of my unit. That this dude's not broke. He's
Yeah.
broken.
Right.
And you can fix somebody's broken. It's
Yeah.
hard to
Right.
fix somebody who's broke.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
I'll throw this out too. One of the issues that we had before I retired was you only had 1 in 5 that were actually ever in combat.
Yeah.
So that's how much the rotation went in for Iraq and Afghanistan and things of that sort. So people who had this kind of stuff, you're talking about 1 in 5, that had kind of like PTSD stuff.
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of people who don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And so it's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
That you have these people running around, they don't know what's going on, doing stuff, and then they stick their bad apples.
Yep. And that's
You
what it
know,
was.
so-
I just thought I was one of the bad apples. It's fine because I'm happy with my life. My daughter's amazing. And I'm and so I will always, like I said, my story's a little different. It's a little
Right.
unique, as I would say.
Sure. It's a cool story, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got some great experiences in there.
A little bit. In the Marine Corps, I'll never ever disrespect the Marine Corps, even though I wasn't after my time. I had gunnies, warrant officers,
Mhm.
other staff NCOs. Let me have him. He's not broken yet. He's not done.
Right.
We can fix him.
Right.
Let me have him. And she just kept on saying no.
Right.
It was like she just didn't want me anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like she
Well,
thought I was broke,
And
but
some
I'm
some
broken.
people,
Yeah.
in
And so
that
that-
case, you had that person.
And she just was that way. And so it's like, do I hate her for that? No. Did I learn from that? Yeah, I'm hoping maybe someday she can sit back and say, I made a mistake.
Mhm.
Because look at this dude's career. And then after the incident, look what happened. There's something that
Right.
Yeah.
makes
absolutely.
sense, right? So you have it all the time. I got my buddy, You know, he did 3 tours,
Right.
came back different.
Yeah.
And so
Well, we all come back at some point.
you
Yeah,
gotta
especially if you're
find
doing
that they're messed up. How can we fix this?
something. Right.
Or at least take care of them, and
Absolutely.
find a way to take care of both, the male and female. How can we?
Yeah.
When you got females, majority of their post-traumatic is, MST. What can we do to help them, and be there for them?
Yeah.
And there's always gonna be the ones that take advantage of it. But what bothers me about it is they use that for the masses.
Yeah.
It's like you can't. I had to do when I was in my unit was so bad. Our sergeant major of 26 years and a full bird colonel had to retire.
Wow.
The general came down and said, "You're going to retire.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you
Forced to
retire.
retire.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?" And so my unit was very toxic. There was guys trying to kill themselves weekly,
Oh, wow.
smoking weed to get out weekly, and we're talking. This was after 9/11 because I was in during 9/11, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't deploy until I think it was 03 or 04 when.
04 is when I went.
Yeah, so-
well, I did in 03 also. 03, 04.
So. I think first Raid Battalion left in like 04 or something like that, and 04,
31st
05.
unit?
I don't.
That's what I was on when I went to Iraq. So.
But yeah, so they, they just, I don't know, they just didn't know what it was, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I got out of the Marine Corps, and it was like, what now?
Right. Well, people sort of symptoms. Like when you were
Yeah.
talking, I could already tell you what symptoms you were talking before you even got to the story of what you were doing. Only because the great thing is not great. The interesting thing is we all share this very similar symptoms. Mine may be combat related, but the things that you feel are the same. Now, can I relate myself to yours? No, because it's 2 totally different things. But our symptoms are very similar.
Yeah.
He's just saying that his accident could have caused him the same type of thing. But
No.
I can't. Well, no, but I'm just saying I'm using that as a thing.
as
Because
an
it could have been
example.
traumatic in itself.
It wasn't that bad.
Right. But come on now, work with me here. No,
Oh,
I'm just saying.
no. Yeah, it was terrible, horrible.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. But in general, though, if that was something that was traumatic to you, unless we've been in a car accident, I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like it still goes true to 2000 to I got out in 2010,
Right.
and it was this. I had the same issues with. I had a first sergeant who treated it the same way, where other people were like, "We can help him," like it's not broken, or broken but not broke. Like we can help keep him in there. Like I had 4 8s, 4 9s of my scores.
Yeah.
A decent PFTer. But everything else was good, but it was like, no. Like it always felt like it was something personal where it's like, this is a bad mark on my resume.
Yeah.
So they were like, we're just going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Like, so
Right.
I feel like it's more of a old school mentality. Like you're not the general, you're not the cookie cutter. You're not that Marine who you see in movies and all this kind of stuff. Something's different about you. So we're just going to, help you out the door.
Well, I would argue too that a lot of people in the higher end spectrum aren't the guys that you're dealing with directly. So like the first sergeant is not dealing with you directly all the time. So his scenario, for example, it's going to be the staff sergeant, the sergeant.
Well,
those guys, and of course those guys are the ones that are trying to feed this to
a little different because she
when you're
actually
picking
put
a
in her unit.
Yeah, when
Right,
you're picking
right.
fights with Ben Affleck, I mean, you aren't dealing
right,
with the
yeah,
first
right,
sergeant
right,
on
yeah.
the base.
That's okay. I had a dude beat up Rob Schneider's bodyguard in Korea.
I
So.
did him in Hawaii too. He was in Hawaii a lot.
Oh, did he? Oh,
But
okay.
actually,
I did in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. I was in Korea.
To what you were saying, because of my situation, she took me out of my unit
Right.
Yeah.
and put me with her
Right. Oh,
so
yeah.
she could keep an eye on
in
you.
the
Yeah,
first
so
sergeant's
watching.
office.
Yeah.
So I was with her
Jeez, man.
all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but I will never ever. I don't hate her. I don't. You'll never hear me say anything bad about her.
Yeah.
It's just shit happens.
Absolutely.
And it's what you make of yourself after what happened. If something happens and you become a bad person because of that and you can't fix it,
Right.
that's pretty much, to be truthful, that's really on you.
Yeah.
Because there's only one person that can change who you are, and it's
Right.
you.
Yeah.
You might be able to give me all the knowledge you want, but you're never going to be able to change who I am unless I want to
Well,
change.
you got to make that effort. Yes.
And that's when I got out of the Marine Corps. It was like, now what?
Right. Right. Now, did you when you got out of the Marine Corps, did you get out from Hawaii or?
Yeah, that's Hawaii.
Okay, so that was your last duty
Yep,
station.
went back to Oregon.
In 2002, right?
02, November 15th of 02.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Went back to home, and I was like, now what?
That's got to be a different experience too after what happened.
Yeah, it
And
was
then you go back
different.
home?
It was different because you're trying to find yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, and so even when you get out, regardless of, you know, as a master sergeant, you know, when you got out and stuff, it's how do you cope with being a civilian and
Right.
being aggressive all the time? But that's everybody was aggressive in the Marine Corps, so it was like,
Yeah.
Everybody's an alpha.
yeah, so it's like it was like when you
Absolutely.
get out, they're not used to that, and so I was
Right.
like, what am I gonna do for work? So
Yeah.
I worked at a little cafe at first just to kind of get reacclimated to
Yeah.
being
Life.
life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I really, it's, when I left there, I was there for a few months and my buddy was like, why are you here? I was like, I don't know.
Right.
Why am I here?
Right.
And he was like, you need to come work for Dell. I know who you are. Come and work. So I was like, cool.
Oh, nice.
So I went, they used to have a call center there and where I'm from, and I worked there and it was great.
Yeah, that's
Made
not
good
bad.
money, it was fun, but I don't like people who cheat.
Okay.
And I don't mind calling you out.
Right. Right.
And, but they don't
That's a
like
Marine Corps. That's a Marine Corps trait right
and
there.
so,
Absolutely.
you know, I got promoted fast,
People don't like that on
mentor.
that end too.
and I was one of the fastest people to get promoted to be a mentor. I was like, I
Yeah.
loved it there. It was great, right? But I had this one, I was listening to this call, and this dude just was like blatantly lying to people. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
your boss is listening to, like, you're blatantly cheating
Mhm.
and
Right.
lying to people.
Yeah.
And so I might have called him out
Yeah.
after the phone call, and he got a little combative with me.
Yep.
Well, I'm like, you don't want to do that.
Right.
And so they
Absolutely.
ended up taking my title from me, and it just went downhill from there. So I ended up
Yeah.
getting fired from there.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Well, I
don't
wonder
care.
what I think the big question is, how did you end up in Idaho?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So after that incident, I was like, well, that's not gonna work for me.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
went to school. I was
Okay.
like, okay. Well, I was dating someone, and while I was going to school, we had her and I had some issues, right?
Yeah.
And so it was 05.
Mhm.
She ends up moving to Idaho. We weren't together at the time. We were trying to maybe work some things out.
Mhm.
So she came over here to help a friend open a coffee shop. And so she was already moving.
Mhm.
Like left her job, selling her house, just fresh start.
Makes sense.
And so I came over to visit. Ended up staying.
Nice.
And so her and I lasted about a little over a year here. And we broke up on great terms. We're still friends. And you know,
Nice.
her daughter's the same age as my daughter. And she has an older daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny, the last time I saw McKenna was 07,
Okay.
and I ran into her in December back home for the first
Oh,
time.
nice, man.
And so I got a photo with her. It was
Nice.
really
That's
cool.
pretty cool. That is
And
very
she
cool.
still looks the same. I mean, obviously she's
Right,
20
just growing older.
Yeah, looks like her mom.
Right.
And so it was really cool. I took a photo with her, sent it to her mom. I was like, that's who I ran into. I was excited, right? And
Right.
her mom and I, you know, we haven't seen each other in a while, but we still, we
Yeah.
don't, there's
Right.
the animosity we had in 05.
Right.
When we moved to get away, it didn't fix it, but it made us like
Yeah, better
not
people.
hate each other.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We broke up on good terms. It was like
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't do this. And we,
Some people just
you know.
can't live together. That's
Yeah,
just the way
so,
it is. Is what it
you
sounds
know.
like. You know. Yeah.
And it was about a year. A year later, I met my daughter's mom.
Mhm.
Of course, we had a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
We lasted about 5 months together after my daughter was born.
Mhm.
We broke up on good terms.
Mm.
It was like I can't do this. I
Right.
was 10. I'm 10 years older than she is. But you gotta think, 31,
Right.
21. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and we co-parent perfect. I mean, we have a good relationship
Awesome.
with co-parenting.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
That's good. That's good
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah, so I mean, we co-parent very well. Our co-parenting skills are, yeah, it's not been perfect. It took a while to get there, but we have,
Right.
you know, great co-parenting. I mean, it's makes it so I don't have to stress about that
Right.
negativeness of
Lucky.
like I pay my child support.
Yeah.
It's like I don't mind paying child support because I
Yeah.
know it's, you know, it's what I do.
There's
And-
my neighbor here.
Huh?
It's my neighbor right there. So hey, so what we usually ask 2 questions, but I don't really think we want to go with that one. Do we really,
Oh, I
really
think
want to still ask that stuff? Because I mean, you
I
think
think
about it as
we already answered
negative. I mean, he already answered it, really.
You can answer
We,
whatever you want.
usually ask what is the worst time you had. Obviously, we don't.
Yeah.
We think we've established that one.
Yeah.
And the best time you've had, I mean, it's
But
kind of interrelated in that too.
Yeah,
if you talk
absolutely.
about being on the red carpet, so I don't know if you have a better experience that you would want to, while you were in, that you'd want to share.
Those were that being on the meeting all those famous people was legit, right? It was
Yeah.
cool. It was I wasn't really broken at that time.
Yeah.
I wasn't broke at that time. I was still a little broken. I was still figuring things out. You're talking. It was only, you know, a little over a year after it happened, and that's the thing about all this is, I know post-traumatic is not right away. It could happen years
it
after.
take forever.
You could be
Yeah.
20 years down the road, and all of a sudden, boom, it hits you.
Yep.
And an idle mind.
Big ones are Korean War vets.
Yeah.
My grandfather, which is shadow boxes up there.
Yeah.
He didn't have symptoms till almost death. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't until way later in life.
So you can't put a time frame on post-traumatic.
No.
You can't put a time frame off grieving.
Yes.
And so I will always cherish the Marine Corps. There's no doubt in my mind, even though my situation was a bit different. But my thing is I'll take it as a positive. The negative as a positive. I still met a lot of good people. I'm always going to be a Marine, right?
Right. Well, you know what I love about the Marine Corps? We're doing it right now. We're just a huge brotherhood.
Camaraderie, man.
We're sitting here right here as 3 Marines, man, and I love all the other branches too. So don't get me wrong.
No,
but, I mean, for the most part, but you put 3, one of your guys that you've served with and you've just been there. It's just, dude, it's one of the greatest things about being a veteran and being a Marine.
Because I mean, no matter how far apart we were, Iraq, you were right before Desert Storm.
This guy was in Vietnam.
I was gonna
Korea.
go back
You're
further.
right. It was Korea.
But you were in the great one, right?
Yeah, the great
The
one.
World War II? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just keep backing up, guys.
Just say
I had slings. I was next to, I fought the biblical wars and things of that sort.
Yeah.
Come on.
You were David, right?
Civil War, yeah.
Jesus was my fire team leader.
Oh, yeah. But yeah. So no matter how far apart our times were, it's like we all went through very similar stuff, so we could all relate. And it's like there's only time difference. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything else is all the same bullshit. Is no matter how you were 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you're in now. We all did the same bullshit.
Yeah, and that's one thing. If somebody was to ask me one question, what's one thing that I miss most about the Marine Corps?
Mm-hmm.
It's the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Exactly. That's what I was trying to go with.
I don't think there's a job. I would say maybe firefighter, first responder, but I still don't think the brotherhood's the same.
Not quite the same.
Well, as being a cop, I mean, you get somewhat of that camaraderie. That's why a lot of military become law enforcement.
Yeah.
Because you do get some camaraderie. But is it the same as the military and the Marine Corps? No.
But I
you never
think a
get
lot of
level.
It's because you live with them.
I think it's very similar because a lot of them are vets.
Military. But the difference is you don't have a barracks full of cops.
Right.
Like you do Marines.
Right.
You don't work 10, 12 hours a day
and then
go back to your room and then go next door and
that's
be
what
like,
I'm saying. It's not the same level. It'll never be that same level.
And that's my thing is like I still remember, waking up on the trunk of a car shit faced. Right? How did I get here? Yeah. And it's like I drove
some stories too. You can't make this stuff
how
up.
did I get here? Like I'm not like bragging about how many I don't even know how I got on base. I know I drove.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was stupid. I don't do that stuff now. I was young and dumb.
Yeah.
Don't judge me for that.
Right.
But it's like I would wake up on the top of the trunk of my car. I go to Hawaii. It's like 85 year round, and so I'm sitting there like, how did I get here?
Right.
Why am I not in jail?
Oh yeah.
What is it? Why? And so I still think it took care of us back then a little bit, but you got guys that would get in the barracks that would just like cover for you.
Absolutely.
Right.
I've woke up at work before because I got hammered the night before, and I'll wake up and I'm like,
how do I get to work?
I'm coming to consciousness, and I'm like, I'm working.
You're making food, and you're like, your eyes are closed. You're just doing this.
Yeah, exactly. And and when you work with those guys that are they really know about you. Like I've come to consciousness on the grill making omelets, and I would go up to my sergeant and be like, I'm fucked up.
Yeah,
I need to go home right now. Like I'm gonna throw up. I don't know how I got here.
Right.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah, right. And that's the brotherhood of the Marine Corps is something that you can't even put a price tag on. You can't put, and I can't say for the other branches of how their brotherhood is.
Right.
But I don't.
We have the tightest brotherhood. I'm just saying though. I love everybody in terms of everybody else too. But yeah, Marines are Marines too.
I think it's different. I think we're just a different animal.
We're a different breed.
It's different when
Absolutely.
I feel like it's different when you're like, one, you kind of forced upon each other, and two, at the same time, if shit went down, the person to your left and right would kill for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
I got
feel
a
like-
shovel right on the wall, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
Hey, if we want to go pick a fight, I mean that's different. But
Right,
you know,
right,
like
right.
just knowing the fact that your person to your left and your right would die for you.
Right.
It's like it makes a different type of bonding
Yeah.
experience.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, but the Marine Corps is different breed in this way. Before we go on the next topic or subject or whatever,
All right.
when the University of Hawaii, in their orientation, says stay away from Marines,
Yes.
they don't say that to any other branches. I
No.
dated someone
That's
who went to
Okinawa
the
too, by the
University
way.
of Hawaii.
Yeah.
So she went to university. She's like, I'm supposed to stay away from you. I said, don't listen to their bullshit.
Right.
Maybe you probably should have.
Right.
But it's like, in their orientation, they say stay away from Marines.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That just tells you that we are a different breed. Positive or negative,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a fact.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I don't think we're really going to go much further than this because we still have some stuff that we want to discuss later. But no, I think it's great, man. You got a great career, and
Yeah.
Steve, that's a overall I think it was an awesome career you had, regardless of whether
Absolutely.
how you went out.
Yeah.
You went on your terms, bro, and that's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. At the same time, he still loves the Corps just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you do 1 year, you do 20 plus, whatever, 30 years. We're all at the end of the day, we were all Marines.
Yeah, and so now you know my story.
Yeah. See, I said so. Hey, this is Steve Exceen coming in today.
Thank you.
And definitely check this out. I mean, I'm hoping that people actually watch this video.
I feel like if we're at the end of the video, they've already checked it out.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just hoping.
An hour and 30 minutes into it.
No,
If you're
no, I'm
watching
saying-
it, you have checked it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. No. But I'm saying I'm hoping that people really want to listen to
Yeah.
Steve's background. Dude, this is a very unique story. I haven't heard some of the stuff that you shared with us with anybody else that would come in. So you're probably the
Yeah.
most unique I've heard of.
A little different
in a
beast.
story. Yeah,
Yeah.
You got a little bit. You got a little bit of something there, which is
Yeah.
cool. It's definitely something I'd love to have. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier. We do like a suicide,
Yeah, we did
talk
one-
every year. We did this one last year, and we definitely want to get different people's perspectives on it.
Absolutely.
And since you do some of the other stuff, do you want to put any plugs in there?
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
we're getting to the end of the podcast. So what do you do currently that you'd like to plug?
So, I go to school.
There you go.
I made a decision almost 4 years ago that I knew I need to fix who I am.
Mhm.
I want to be better, right? And
Absolutely.
so I made the decision. My work was, was at my job for 5 years. I sold phones, met some great people there, made some good money there. But I just knew that I was missing something.
Something, yeah.
And so, a buddy of mine came up to me and he was like, "Why aren't you going to school?" I was like, "I can't afford it. I got a kid. I'm basically, I got to take care of my daughter, right?" And so, but all the math worked. I was able to get approved for voc rehab,
Nice.
and so I've been going to school.
Nice.
And I'll actually graduate in May.
There you go.
After 4
Congratulations.
years, I'll get
Congrats,
my
man.
bachelor's and associates. But on I've learned over the last 5 years, I'm two people. If that makes sense. I have to be,
Absolutely.
me with my daughter and live
Yep.
separate myself from a nonprofit that myself and two other people run.
Right.
December of 2015, a good friend of mine took his life.
Oh.
Both of us are Marines. He joined the Marine Corps in 01. I got out in 02. So we've known each other since he was about 8 years old. And so just, when traumatic situations affect people differently.
Yes.
I was on this job in 06, and I just felt like I was on this path of making money, winning as much stuff as trips, whatever I could, right? Because I wanted to be the best.
Right.
And when he took his life, my life went a different way.
Mm.
And so when I came back from this funeral, I was like, what can I do to remember him so he's not forgotten? Because
Right.
they say you die twice. You die when you take your last breath, and you die when somebody says your name for the last time.
Mhm.
And so in my head, I was thinking, I do not want him to die twice. And so I ride a motorcycle, and I was like, I talked to his family, I was like, I'm going to put a ride on in his honor.
Mhm.
Literally in 3 months.
Yeah.
They're like, no, they're like, great. If people know about the motorcycle and putting a ride on 3 months, it's not something that does not happen very often.
No.
Yeah.
And so I Googled, Google's still around in
Yeah, Google.
2017.
Yeah, we still got Google.
Yeah. And I Googled veteran suicide nonprofits. First one that came up is 22 Too Many out of Maryland.
Right.
Carrie runs this organization. Her friend, I can't remember her other name on top of my head. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I like your concept. They run for veterans that have died by suicide. And I was thinking, shoot, I'm not running. You know? And I was thinking, let me utilize what they have and put it on motorcycles.
Nice. Yeah.
And so I told her what I want to do, and she's like, that's great. I was like, but we have any money? And she goes, well, I'll send you a care package for free. And so she sent me this care package with a bunch of veterans' pictures that have died by suicide. And some other swag and stuff in there. And they paid for it all because we had no funds.
Right.
And this was 2016. And so I'm getting ready for this ride. I didn't know any riders. I knew Doug rode. So I called up Doug and I'm like, hey, I'm going to put this ride together with another organization at the time. Can you help me promote it? And him and I pounded the road. We rode so much to promote this event, to talk about it, get the ether going.
Yep.
It was funny, one of the guys at Harley was like, after I got the approval to do it there, he's like, don't expect more than 40 people. I looked right at him and I said, you know, truthfully, I don't care if one person shows up. If I'm able to use this event to change one person's mind, then mission accomplished.
Absolutely.
I'm not numbers driven. I know a lot of these organizations, they focus on 22. I'm going to get 22 down to 1. My thought process on that, which I could be wrong, is your thought process wrong. Is if you're focused on the number, let's focus on 1. Let's focus on this individual.
Right. Take care of one. And move to somebody else.
The ripple effect of this is huge, right?
Same
and so the butterfly effect is different.
Oh, no. But I'm saying that you're affecting your
butterfly effect. If you change your past, it affects your future.
But I'm saying I got it's I'm just saying affecting one person, but
it's actually a domino effect.
Yes. Domino effect,
the ripple effect, and the butterfly effect are very
similar. And so I'm a firm believer that if you can affect someone in a positive way, they'll help someone. And so you'll see we're not focused on bringing the number 20, 22, 15, 4, 5 down to 1, down to 0. I'm focused on 1.
One person.
And so our organization is a little different because we just don't focus on veterans. We focus on the families that have been left behind. Because they don't realize suicide survivor guilt is a little different than combat survivor's guilt. Because a lot of these families think it's their fault. And they literally think they have caused it or there's a reason or whatever. So their likelihood of taking their own life is super high. And so why would we not help these families? And so our mission started out is honor the fallen, so they're not forgotten, and help families left behind. Of course, we've adjusted it, you know. And we put our first ride together April 16th, which happens to be my birthday.
Nice.
Yeah, my birthday's actually coming up. And we were thinking 40 people, because that's what Harley said. We were so understaffed. And I'm sitting there like, my buddy's wife came in, his family came in from Oregon, and I'm sitting there at Harley Davidson, there's nobody there. One, Steve. Just think one. Okay? Because I put so much work in this to just make it be successful. We were not a nonprofit, we were just a ride. And all of a sudden I felt like the earth was shaking. And I'm thinking, what is this? And all of a sudden all these motorcycles came in. So we ended up having about 280 registered riders at our first ride.
Nice.
I ended up getting a ticket, you know, for traffic violations because I blocked traffic, and, you know, but we weren't expecting that many people. I'll take the hit, right? And High Desert was like, I don't know how you 3 did it, because 3 people, not counting the volunteers, because I am so grateful, and the other 2 people are so grateful. We wouldn't be the organization we are right now if it wasn't for the support and it wasn't for our volunteers. Because there's 3 staff members. There's no paid staff. All the money we give goes out. And after our organization, the first ride, we raised I think it was like $6,200, something around there, $6,000 roughly. We gave it all to the veterans home. And I thought I was done. I'm like, this is a hard event. I'm taxed out. Well, High Desert were like, we want to do it with you every year. And so I sat down with Doug and Deb, and I was like, hey, they want to do this more. And Doug and Deb was like, we're on board. Let's do this. And Debbie looks at me and says, we have no money. I said, I know we don't have no money. We gave it all away. Because you have to get certified, registered, trademarked, 501c3, all that costs money. And so I was like, well, how are we going to raise money? So we ended up putting a bike wash together. We raised enough money to get our trademark, our 501c3, which didn't take as long. Debbie she's the one that's like driven the organization because of all of her hard work that really nobody knows about, right? Like we are very apt to make sure we're all legal in every aspect. Our insurance, the lottery commission, all of our permits. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Doug doesn't do it. Debbie is like 75%. Doug and I are like 25.
Yeah.
Theoretically, right?
Oh, nice.
So she's got that down, which is that's awesome.
Yeah, and so then we do our second ride. First as a name, but second ride, if that makes sense. The first one wasn't ride for 22. We ended up with like 400 and something riders.
Oh, nice.
And Harley Davidson's like, how are you gaining so much? I was like, I don't know, we just pound pavement.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like talking to families and and then our third ride comes along. We ended up getting a Jeep donated to us. Boise Auto Arena hooked us up with a Jeep. Those are some. If you're looking for a good car, go to
Did
Boise
you
Auto.
guys see I didn't win that Jeep?
Yeah.
We're-
That was a different one.
We're we're not sponsored by them, by the way.
Yeah, you're not.
Just,
No,
but
no,
we
that's
can
okay.
be.
We're just talking about it.
We-
We're sponsored. We're sponsored by them. And
I
also,
wanted a Jeep.
I was just saying if they would sponsor somebody else.
I'm saying we're also sponsored by Tito's, but we didn't say that.
Right?
And so we've been grateful. I think it's a lot because of our mission statement. We're all about making sure these veterans are not forgotten and active service members. So I say veteran, it's all. And families not left behind.
Yes.
But we have to find a way, how can we help these veterans? How can we use our event as a way to be a lifeline?
Yeah.
Let's bring vendors in that they only focus on mental health, only focus on helping. So all of our vendors that come in are there to give resources. So we use our event as an education and resources way to get that information out there, right? And so our third ride comes on because of our Jeep we had, not the one we were raffling off.
I know, I remember.
The one, our yellow one,
is
we got the Jeep Club involved. So we're thinking, okay, it's gonna
that's
be
my first year for you guys.
Yeah. Well, we ended up having a little over 1,000 riders and 250 Jeeps.
Yep. 200 plus Jeeps.
And we literally had a guy that traded his Jeep from, I think it was Illinois or Iowa, all the way over here.
Oh,
we
awesome.
had people from all over the United States come to this event.
Yeah.
So you're talking 1,000 riders from 400.
Yeah.
Taxing. 3 people run this, but we're so grateful for the Woman on Wheels. I'm not, they run all of our product for us. We don't have to touch the product. We just give it to them like a month early. I don't, Debbie does. Like I said, she's the boss. Gives all the product to them. They sort it out, they price tag everything. It makes our job easier. These volunteers make it so our event runs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think people can realize that we are an event-based organization. We don't have donors, big donors, grants. Our organization runs on events.
Right.
And so when we don't do events, guess what? 1, we can't help. 2, we still have bills.
Yeah.
Right? People don't realize that we're a nonprofit. We still got to keep all of our stuff. And so our 4th ride comes, and again we ended up having over 1,000 and like 150 Jeeps or whatever. It was huge. And so it was so big that Harley Davidson said we can't do it here anymore.
Really? I didn't ever hear about that.
And so they said we just can't. We just use
Can't
too many
support
people.
that.
Can't support too many people. So I'm like, where are we gonna go?
Right.
Where are we gonna do this? We're still gonna do it. It's just to start at Harley Davidson is so hard to get 1,000 bikes
Out of there.
out of two ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're talking overland, which is not
Yeah.
unpacked on a Saturday.
Right.
And so we made the determination. Did not know that the city of Nampa owns the Idaho Center. And so now we're starting at the Idaho Center.
Oh, okay.
And so April 17th, not saying that I should get a birthday present on April 16th, is...
the day of the ride is my birthday, right?
Your birthday's April 17th?
No, it's 18th, actually. I thought it was 18th.
Oh, about you're like...
Oh, okay.
Day before, mine's the day before, yours is the day after.
Day after, yeah.
And so the coolest thing is I ended up getting... on social media... Social media is awesome. There's always the bad and the good, but to me, again, it's what you make of social media.
Yes.
So I'm on TikTok. Go ahead and laugh. It's okay. Cool.
I'm actually, hey, you know what? I'm going to check out his TikTok.
Yeah,
well, besides the YouTube stuff, I'm going to have to check that out.
So I got him on TikTok, and I ended up meeting some really, really cool people. and one of them happens to be a command sergeant major. And I was thinking, he focuses so much on mental health. I just said, again, I won't ever change it. I was like, he's changing the game with how they deal with mental health.
Right.
And so I just said, and we're talking a command sergeant major. We're not talking like a sergeant major, a first sergeant,
Right.
master sergeant. I'm just playing.
Right.
A command sergeant major, like the man.
Yeah.
And so I sent him a message on TikTok, because we're friends on TikTok, and I was like, hey, he knows I run this organization, and he goes, I was like, hey, what do you think about being our guest speaker? He's like, this is awesome. And so he's flying out. Him and his wife are flying out again on the 15th or something like that
That'd be awesome.
of next month, and I'm gonna pick him up at the airport and stuff. He'll be here until Tuesday, the 19th. So it's cool he's coming in.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to have somebody who's active.
Yeah.
That's actively talking about mental health.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
trying to know that again, they're not broke.
Right.
They're broken.
Right.
I can fix something that's broken. I can't fix something that's broke. But you can't use the the lower number for the masses.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to focus on the mass. You're always going to have your shitheads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't change that.
It's a 10% rule.
Yeah, you can't change that. But if people focus on that,
Yeah.
then you're forgetting about all these healthy individuals that are broken,
Yeah.
that aren't broke.
Right.
And so I think that him being here will change the game.
Mhm.
And so
That'd be
I'm
interesting.
excited for him. You'll love him, dude. He's such a
cool
good.
dude.
I think he's been in for like 150 years. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully he didn't hear that. But he's just a good.
Oh,
good
he's gonna see this.
yeah, he's a good human. We're all grateful he's coming in,
Yeah.
and I think it's gonna be fun.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I can't wait. And if you definitely want us out there
Yeah.
doing the videoing like I do.
Well, we always talk
Oh,
about.
I was gonna be out there.
Absolutely, man.
I was gonna be out there regardless.
Yeah,
Regardless if I
he
bring a
knows,
camera.
he knows,
or not,
well, he knows
you
I'm
know.
coming out there
Yeah,
regardless.
it's
I
just-
do this every
it's-
year for him.
it's one of those things that you have to see it to experience.
Yeah.
I mean, if you seen 1,000 something motorcycles,
Oh, I've been to Sturgis.
I was at Search last year. It's
Yeah.
gangster.
Yeah, actually I saw some video of that.
460,000 people.
Yeah, you actually videoed it.
It's just for the cause of one, and you ride,
Yeah.
and they pay to ride. You can
Right.
ride for free,
Absolutely.
Right.
and so it's really good that these riders come together and they look forward to this
Well,
event.
I feel like if you have a good enough cause, people will rally behind
Yeah.
you. And at the same time, I feel like the community of riders tend to get behind causes like that
Mhm.
because a lot of riders are vets themselves.
Yep.
Because of the fact that, I mean, when it's just you and your bike on the road, like
Right.
Yeah,
you want to talk about freedom. Like
nothing else, man.
there's freedom, and something that vets stand for is freedom. So
Yeah.
I feel like it just
Yeah.
goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
There's two things that really, besides my daughter, because that's always number one, but there's really
Absolutely.
two things that. But when you boil it down to self-care,
Yep.
you have to be selfish, and people can say whatever
Absolutely.
they want. I'm educated, especially in like leadership and how important self-care is.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I know how important self-care is.
yeah,
Right.
And self-care is different for everybody, but the key word for self-care is self.
absolutely.
It's not like I'm gonna go on vacation with my family. That's not self-care.
Right.
You might think it is,
Right.
it's not self-care.
Mhm.
Self-care to me is like get on a motorcycle, go ride.
Right.
Go to the gym, I put my headphones on and just throw weights around, or
Yeah.
go for a run, or go for a road trip by yourself. It's where you literally think about yourself.
Right.
Not volunteering isn't self-care. You're
Right.
still working, even though you're
Right.
doing good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You feel good about it, but it's not
It's,
self-care.
it's not
And I
self-care.
think that's one thing that if people can stop thinking it's selfish,
Right.
I think we can change
right.
and think we can
Well, they should
save
get away.
lives.
Yeah, hopefully they can get away from that because that is a huge thing. Now you know what, most people don't really think about that.
You know,
Well, it's like
so-
think about you put it in retrospect, like casualties.
Yeah.
The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna do self-care.
Yeah.
So you got to take care of yourself because he may not be there close enough to help me.
Yeah.
And then after that it's buddy aid.
Yeah.
And then of course corpsman, then
And that's-
higher up. So
One thing about if we discuss it in the future real fast is
yeah,
mental health. If you are so focused on helping everybody else, but you can't help yourself,
Absolutely.
how can you help someone?
Absolutely.
Right. So you have to time to be self-aware
Right.
that you're not perfect,
Yep.
and what can I do for myself?
Yeah.
And yes, I do. My time with my daughter is hers, but I don't have her 100%. I have her, 70 now because of school and stuff. But
Right.
I will do my time without her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I can say, okay, what can I do? But my gym, I do it every day almost, like 6 days a week, right?
Yeah.
I know it doesn't show, but
Well,
it's
you have
like
to lift weights when you go to the gym. You
Yeah.
can't just sit there.
I know that's what it is.
Yeah, so
I sit
I'm
down,
the type that sits at the gym.
I just go like this. What are you doing? Self-care,
Gym,
Right,
gym
right.
time.
gym time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's we have to realize how important self-care
I'm working
is.
out. You're just sitting there.
Like I just do the gym. I'm like, dude, how are you so big? You literally don't do shit all day.
Right.
Like I see where he's a buddy of mine. I always give him shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
you literally are big.
Right.
Like you
Just
look like
natural.
you lift weights every day. I'm like, but you don't really do that much, man.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people are just lucky in life.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. If someone wants to help, you said it's a nonprofit. So if anybody wants to get involved, or is there a website or
Yeah, so
they can go to?
it's ride 422 like the FOR 22 .org. I think it's .org. Sorry.
Okay.
And then it's just the best place to find us is on social media. It's
Yes.
on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Just search Ride for 22. There's only one of us.
Yeah. All those links will be in the description down below.
Yeah.
So,
So
They'll all be
we
Yeah.
try to do what we can to make a difference in someone's life, and that's the most important thing is these families that are left behind.
Yeah.
We use this event to create a lifeline
Yeah.
because there's no way I'll ever understand what somebody's going through that lost one of their loved ones because I
Yeah.
haven't done that
Yeah.
in this magnitude.
Yeah.
Right.
So what can I do? Let me see if I can get another wife hooked up with a wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
A mom hooked up with a mom, a dad hooked up with a mom. How great would that be to create this lifeline for them to be able to grief together?
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
never going to be a time frame on grief. If somebody says that, that's the cancer in relationship that you need to get rid of.
Yeah.
So it's like a
And-
community. You're building
yeah,
a community
and
of,
so
of people.
If somebody
Yeah.
sits here and says, "Don't talk about your son," that cancer you need to get out of your life
Yeah.
because
Right.
they're dragging you down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's never a time frame. I can't emphasize it enough. There's never a time frame for grief. For what you're dealing with, whatever your post-traumatic stress is, if you're grieving, don't let someone tell you to stop grieving.
Or how to grieve. I mean,
Or how to grieve.
Yeah, that's
Because
ridiculous.
everybody grieves differently, and that's
Yes.
and I call it cancer. And
Yeah.
guess what I do?
Right.
I have no problem cutting those people out of my life because
Absolutely.
even if it was someone I've known for a long time,
Right.
if
Yeah.
if they try to tell me what I can how to grief,
Yeah.
that person will bring you down.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
sorry to get off track. a little
well, no,
No,
it makes
it's
sense.
fine.
Hey, I'll add this to it too. You know what? You can't tell how long people
Yeah.
should grieve too, because everybody's different.
bit. Yeah.
And
You
it
know?
takes time for everybody
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
like saying, like you were saying, you go to the gym and like everybody builds differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everybody deals with their grief differently,
Mhm. Yeah.
stress differently. Everybody's on a different time frame.
Yeah. And you have to be that hand
Mhm.
to help them, not the hand to tell you what you're doing wrong or
Yeah.
you're supposed to do this way. It's like
Yeah.
I'll never relate to you
Right.
with your post traumatic or your post traumatic.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't relate to me, but I can tell you this: I'll be there for you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
God
God
gave
are,
me-
man.
yeah,
That's why we
you
keep in
know,
touch. He's here for me. You're
God
here for
gave
me.
me 2 years.
I'm
I'll
there
sit
for
down
you
and
guys,
listen.
man.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that sets us above is you'll never see me take a veteran to go get drunk, go get
Right.
drinking. When
Right.
they ask me they say, "Hey Steve, can you come and hang out with whatever?"
Yeah.
It's
Right.
that's the stupidest thing ever, man. It's just,
Right, and that's the other thing with self-treatment too. You
Yeah.
have to want help, and you have to reach out. If you
Yeah.
know that you're going through something, I can't help. I can't. You have to be proactive enough
Yeah.
to realize that you need help
Yeah.
and be willing to ask for help.
It's
Because
the
I think
most
that's
courageous thing you
huge.
can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I mean, and that's when we talk the suicide thing, we're talking about that's like our biggest thing people get to a certain point in their life and they're going to decide if they've gotten to that point where they decide they're going to do it, they're probably going to do it.
Yeah, and I'll leave this with this before I let you guys go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's
It's just not okay to stay there.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so
And that's where I was trying to get to too. Yeah.
that is what we need to understand is I'm not okay.
Right.
It's okay for me not to be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's the one hell of a thing is not okay for me to stay there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's where that hand.
Yep.
It's like, I just met you tonight, but I guarantee if I reached out to him and reached out to you, you'd be there.
Absolutely.
Right? You'd probably stop what you're doing and let's go sit on the beach or go for a motorcycle ride or something, right? It's that human interaction sometimes, the little things.
I'm gonna throw that out there. It's for anybody.
Absolutely.
You can hit us up for anything. You don't have to necessarily be a veteran. I would be there for anybody as long as I know
feel
that
free
can help you.
to feel free to send a message. I mean,
Yeah.
if going through some bad times or whatever, like our messages are always open on our YouTube channel. We both stream as well, so our streaming
I do
channels.
mental health on stream. So
Cool.
Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely, man. So if you guys check us out on Veterans OP, and you just you want to put that out there and put a plug, or you want to, you need help or something like that, just let us know in there. But we don't. Thanks Steve for coming. Steve Exceen for coming in today.
Thanks for having
Founder of
me,
Veterans
man.
22,
Awesome.
man. It's awesome, and
What a good time.
hopefully we can do some more stuff. I'm hoping we can.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure this isn't the last time you're going to see the three of us on camera in the
I
same
can
room.
almost
together.
guarantee it, man.
Yeah. That's one thing about me is I keep my life. I try to keep a lot of my own personal stuff out, but sometimes it's good to open up. And I just did.
Yeah.
So if I could do
That's
it,
awesome.
I can tell you anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to tell your story.
Yeah.
But I think that telling your story does help.
Yeah.
Especially yourself, because if you bottle in, it's like a friggin' firecracker, man.
Yeah.
It goes off. So.
Yeah.
And this is definitely why we like to do this with other vets and stuff like that.
I'm down wherever you guys
pretty
want to
awesome.
come out and speak.
Absolutely.
I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most important things that you can learn in life is the difference between a smart person and a wise person.
Yeah.
A smart person makes their own mistakes and learn. A wise person learns from others' mistakes and grows from that.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel like if you tell your story and it helps somebody, well, he did that, maybe I shouldn't do that. Success.
100%.
Absolute success.
Exactly.
But you guys are awesome, man. Thanks for having me on today.
Hey,
I'll
thanks,
take
bro.
up your couple hours of your time.
Nah, no worries, bro.
Yeah.
All right, hey, everybody, we'll catch you later in our next podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next one.